Hello, Jonathan.
Good morning. I gather you've got a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Okay. Well, around about 2 years ago, perhaps just a fraction more, I bought Venetian blinds because I thought they looked very nice on all the houses near me, or some of them. And I decided that I would get rid of my net curtains and replace them with the Venetian blinds.
Thank goodness for that. I can't stand net curtains.
I know what you mean.
Oh, dear. I don't like
They're
them at
the only
all.
option, though, a good few years ago.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But well, personally, I can't bear them. So, yes, Venetian blinds compared to net curtains, very preferable.
Yes. Except when they go wrong.
Oh, dear. Why? What's happened?
Well, one of the blinds is the pull cord won't pull the slats. I can't see any problem because the mechanism is enclosed in a casing, which makes it all look nice and smart. But the only way I could be able to see what's gone wrong is to take it apart. And they're quite heavy. I'm not a very big lady. I'm about 5'2", and I'm 82, which probably means it would be a bit of a struggle, quite a bit of a struggle. Anyway, as I say, the pull cord is not broken, but it just isn't working. It moves up and down, but the slats don't.
No. So are they permanently open or permanently shut?
Well, neither, because if you take hold of the supporting cords in the middle gently, you can move the blinds up and down.
Right.
Not quite satisfactory because it doesn't fully close them or open them. Well, it does. It's okay. But it's not the way they're supposed to work.
No, quite. And when you had these installed a couple of years ago, how many windows did you have done with them?
7.
Right. And how much did you pay?
I paid £1,069.
Okay, so have you, and it's just one of the windows, one of the blinds that's gone. Is it one of the windows that you you use the blinds the most often?
Well, yes, but I usually open them every day, particularly in the winter time, because you close them. It adds a little bit of extra warmth, I suppose.
Do you? What? So you close every single window, even in rooms that you're not using?
Only at night time. Not every day, I don't. It depends on, well, just how I feel, really. I don't close them every night, but these are in the sitting room where they would be closed early in the evening in the winter time and not till quite late in the summertime.
Yes. So, and I presume, would people be looking right into your house then? Is it quite, it's quite open to people having a nose through your windows?
Yes, people do as they go by.
Oh, right, okay. So have you contacted the company that you purchased these Venetian blinds from and who installed them for you to tell them about the problem you're having?
I have done that, yes. And, well, they were just not really interested. They said if I could take some photos of them, which really would be quite pointless because you can't see anything without taking them apart. And as I've already said, I'm really not capable of. They would have to be taken down, I think.
So they haven't. And this company that you purchased them from, I don't want anything that will identify who they are. But are they a local company?
Fairly local, yes.
Okay, but they haven't offered to send someone out to come and have a little look and just see if they can, no. adjust them back into place so they work again.
No, they've offered absolutely nothing.
Oh, that's a bit smelly, isn't it? Because, I mean, the fact they were happy to take £1,000 from you just a couple of years ago to come and fit them.
Yeah.
And they can't even. How long has it been like this, where they're out of action?
About a month, I suppose.
Right.
Yes, it would be about that length of time because although I contacted them, well, within a day or two, because I think it was holiday week or something, I didn't expect them to rush round, but I did expect them to respond in a better way than, well, sorry, there's nothing we can do. We don't do repairs.
Well, it might not even be necessary for there to be a repair. It may well be that somebody who knows about the Venetian blinds, and you would imagine that the company that installed them for you would know more about Venetian blinds than you or I would know. It may well be that they can give it a bit of a wiggle or, do a bit of something, give it a bang or do something to it and it will get it working again.
I suppose it's possible, yes. I mean, it's the only blind that has failed me so far. I hope the others don't do the same.
No, well, I can well imagine. It's just completely unacceptable. We need to go and have a little word with this company and just ask them what on earth they're playing at, because as far as I'm concerned, when you had these Venetian blinds installed, you are covered under the Consumer Rights Act. The Consumer Rights Act states that those blinds must be fit for purpose, of reasonable quality, and must last for a reasonable amount of time. Now, unless you've done something to damage this particular blind, and I presume, you say you're 82, I'm presuming you're not swinging off them, or,
No.
you've not got grandchildren that are playing with the cords, or, yanking them, or anything like that might have broken them?
My grandchildren don't come to my house very, very often. I see them more in other venues, like at my daughter's or,
Right.
And no one other than me really ever touches them.
Right. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned then, the Consumer Rights Act states that you are entitled to expect this company to deal with this problem because they have not lasted for a reasonable amount of time. And therefore, one has to question whether they are of reasonable quality. Yeah. They weren't cheap. They cost you £1,000 for all of the blinds to be put in your windows. You expected them to last for a reasonable amount of time, and they haven't. And the fact that this company don't even appear to be particularly interested in coming to have a look to see if there's anything they can do to help, I think that stinks.
Yes, I do. I mean, my daughter also, on my behalf, phoned them up, thinking that maybe hearing another voice telling about the story, it might shift the ideas that they have. They don't even have to do anything. But they did tell me they don't do repairs. They can't send anyone round, and they're really not prepared to help me at all.
Well, who fitted them? Did they fit them, or did you fit them?
I certainly didn't. They did.
So they had someone who knew enough about fitting Venetian blinds when they were taking your money in the first place to come and stick them up on the window. But now they suddenly don't have anyone that knows about Venetian blinds to come round and have a look and see why it's jammed. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right, OK. Tara, can we get some detail, please? And I think they need to have a little conversation with me, don't they? Because this is ridiculous.
I think they do. How very annoying.
It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact they haven't even taken an interest in what's going on with an 82-year-old customer.
And if they're not too far away, then presumably they could send someone round.
Absolutely. Well, even if they've had a month since they were first notified. Even if they say, well, look, unfortunately because of COVID restrictions, it's a bit difficult at the moment, but we will get someone out as soon as possible. At least if they'd given an assurance that they were going to go and have a look, that would be something. But from what you're saying, Maureen, they are not remotely interested in coming out to your house.
Is what they said.
Well, that's just not acceptable. That's not acceptable at all.
They didn't know anyone who could do this for me.
Well, we need to go and have a word. Maureen, I'm going to pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail, and I'll give them a call this afternoon. I'll have a little chat with them and see what they want to do. Now, JIT purchased a new electric rotary lawnmower in June of 2018. It cost him £75. He didn't use it for the first year because he'd already got another lawnmower. This was a kind of backup. He finally got round to using it in spring 2019. It was fine and indeed worked very well. In autumn of that year, he packed it away for the winter and got it out again in 2020.
First couple of times I used it in spring, it was fine. And then I think it was the third time when I started using it, the motor started slowing down a bit. It wasn't working 100%. And they said they couldn't help me anymore because it passed the 12-month guarantee. So they couldn't help me. They said, but they did recommend some repair agents, approved repair agents, which if I did decide to take it, I would have to pay for the cost of repair.
Well, Jit was telling me when he was on the programme last that the mower doesn't work at all now. It's completely stopped. And the retailer was really not prepared to do anything to help him. Very frustratingly, was suggesting that because it had been over 6 months since Jit had purchased the lawnmower from them, they didn't have any obligation to him. Well, that's just simply wrong. It's unacceptable. And it really frustrates me when I have to keep having the same old conversation with all of these various retailers to inform them of what they should be doing to help their customers. That's exactly what I did on Jit's behalf. He's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Jit.
Hello, Jonathan.
Now, I was concerned because we have varying degrees of success based on which company we're dealing with. When I saw the company that you'd purchased this lawnmower from, I was a little more optimistic because they have been good in the past at resolving matters. The company concerned is Wickes. Now, I did go and speak to Wickes and explain the situation. They have come back and have suggested that they don't wish to present an on-the-record statement, but they have told me that they've been in touch with you and things should be resolved. What's happened, Jit?
Yes, very good news, Jonathan. Yes, the retailer did get in touch with me, and after he wanted to see some photos of the lawnmower, which I did send to him, and obviously after inspection of the photos, he decided to send me a refund in gift vouchers to spend again in the store.
Oh, great. Okay. So you can replace the mower?
Yes, that's right. He promised to send me £80 gift voucher.
Oh.
Which is great news. And so I am going to be spending again to buy a new lawnmower.
Yes. Now, the only thing I would say, when you told me how big your lawn was, and this is your only mower, isn't it?
Yes, now it is. That's right, yes. That's correct.
I mean, you might want to add a bit to that and buy something a bit better, because 75 quid for an electric mower, I mean, it's going to buy you a basic standard of mower, but your lawn, from the description you gave me, it's quite big. You were saying it takes about, 45, 50 minutes to mow it?
Yeah, something like that, yes,
yeah.
That's right.
So I think if possible, bearing in mind, I don't know how often you mow your lawn, but certainly I mow my lawn every week during the summer months, and it's going to get quite a lot of use. You want something that's going to last you for a reasonable amount of time into the future. You don't want to have recurring problems with your mower. Apart from anything else, it's just annoying. So I don't know if you're prepared to add a bit extra just to buy a better quality mower, are you?
Possibly. Now that you've suggested this, I might do that, yes.
I think it would be a good idea. If you just consider how much you use that mower, to get a good quality one, good brand that's going to last you for a reasonable amount of time, I think that's probably sensible. Have you actually received the vouchers from Wickes yet?
Not yet, because I got the call from Wickes on Friday.
Okay.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, I should receive it one day this week.
Well, that's marvellous, and I want to thank them very much indeed. It is always frustrating when we do have to keep having the same conversation regarding a retailer's obligations, but we won't dwell on that too much on the basis that they are now going to resolve matters for you. I'm going to give them this. Half my horn. They'll get the rest as soon as you've got those vouchers and you're on the way to getting your new lawnmower. I mean, the good news, I guess, is the way the weather has been recently, I would imagine your lawn hasn't grown too much because it's been so cold.
That's right, yeah, not that much at the moment, but,
That's about to change. We're about to head well and truly into the growing season, aren't we? And that's when the old lawn starts to become a jungle quite quickly, so you do need to get an alternative mower lined up pretty quickly. Listen, Jet, if you can please keep me in the loop, and fingers crossed you'll receive your voucher very soon.
Yes. So thank you very much, Jonathan. I'd just like to say a big thank you to you and your team for resolving this matter for me.
Jet, it's an absolute pleasure. We're not there quite yet, but we will be there soon. Keep me in the loop and we'll talk soon. Now, Jeremy runs a dog boarding kennel with his wife. They were contacted by a new customer. This was just before Christmas 2020. This guy wanted to leave his 2 large dogs with Jeremy while he went off to South Africa. When I say large dogs, I mean, massive dogs.
They were real bruisers of dogs. I don't think they were American bulldogs at all. I think they were what we call cane corsos. They had clipped ears and everything. They were the sort of dogs, if you saw them coming along the road, you'd be, ooh. After the New Year, a customer emailed from South Africa to say he needed to extend his holiday. Could we look after the dogs longer? Which I replied by email saying, yes, we could. He emailed his card details, and I kept him informed of the progress. I mean, the total price ended up as £1,762.44, yeah. Probably a few days later, we received letters from our card processing company. The customer was claiming a chargeback to his credit cards, and the reason given was they were fraudulent transactions, which basically means the customer wasn't putting his PIN number in. We've been doing this for 10 years, taking 10 payments a day, maybe over the phone, and we've never had a chargeback claim against us. My first reaction was to get in touch with the customer, actually. No reply. He's blocked us actually now, so we can't actually make contact with him.
Yes, well, I suspect this man probably gave completely false information to Jeremy as to who he was anyway, so trying to track him down, as far as Jeremy's concerned, would probably not have come to very much. But what can be done to try and help Jeremy out? Well, he's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Jeremy.
Hello again, JVS.
Hello, here we are again. But you know what? It's always a good thing to talk about this because you are, like so many people listening to this programme, trying to run small businesses. Many small businesses take card payments, and this is something that, to be honest, could affect anybody that does take a card payment from a customer, particularly if you take card payments over the phone. Because, as you will recall, I went off to have a word with the company WorldPay. That's the payment company that facilitates your card payments. In effect, they came back and said that they were obviously very sympathetic. However, unfortunately, because this card that was used to make the payment, a chargeback had been done on it, and because when the guy made the payment over the phone, you, in a totally trusting way, did not try and do identity checks on him to make sure that indeed he was the owner of the card that was being used. They felt that it had therefore left you in a vulnerable position, and that the way the system works, it is weighted in favour of the consumer, and consumers can put in a chargeback and claim the money back, and in fact there wasn't really very much they could do. They were not able to defend you as the merchant because you hadn't requested the identity of the person making the payment. So for other people listening to this programme, if you run a small business, if you take card payments, particularly card payments over the phone, from people that you don't know, you need to get the identity of the person that you are taking the payment from and make sure that you are happy that that person is who they say they are and that they are the card holder, because otherwise you may well find yourself in a position where they're putting a chargeback through. And if you haven't done anything to cover yourself in terms of doing those identity checks, you won't be able to defend the chargeback from the customer. So, unfortunately, regarding the payment company, there's not very much you can do. But what can the police do to assist? And what can Action Fraud do to assist? Because this is clearly a fraudulent bit of activity. This man who did this to you, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't use this phrasing lightly, this man is a con man. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew the way of covering himself. He knew the way of covering his identity. And in fact, he was quite clever and quite sophisticated, because even if you had CCTV, you wouldn't have been able to capture him, would you? You would not have any footage of this person's face, because he didn't even drop the dogs off and pick the dogs up himself. He sent someone else to do it, his so-called dog walker. So this man knew exactly what he was doing, and my concern throughout the whole thing is that he will have done this before and probably will go on to do it to other people as well. When I raised this with Action Fraud, they came back and said fraud is a unique crime that can have a devastating impact on victims both financially and emotionally. In an ideal world, every report would be investigated, but unfortunately this is just not possible. We take every report of fraud extremely seriously, but our resources are focused on the reports most likely to present an investigative opportunity for forces, and those that present the most threat and harm to the victim or victims concerned. Reports that aren't sent to a police force or other organisation for potential investigation are still vital in helping police develop intelligence and taking disruption activity to prevent other people from falling victim, by taking down websites, telephone numbers and email addresses linked to fraud. Now, that was very frustrating, that response, because in effect they're saying, we recognise that fraud is horrible, however, our resources are stretched, so in this particular instance we're not going to be able to help. And I know, Jeremy, you contacted your local MP, Bima Falami, and he was going to raise it with Action Fraud, and I gather he's come back with the same response.
Yes, he did. He did get back to me as he said he would, and it was effectively that what you've just really summarised. And I did reply back to him to say thank you very much, but it's obviously the system is blocking this, because we're actually not asking Action Fraud to take any action, because in a sense they don't take any what would you call it, prosecuting action against anyone. They just simply look at the data and then they dole it out to the appropriate authority who's going to then track it down.
Exactly.
But they're not willing to do that.
No, what we need is for them to turn around to Hertfordshire Police and say, look, can you investigate this, because we think there might be a lead on this. But frustratingly, they're not doing that. And the reason why it is so frustrating is that there is a very good lead. There is the potential for this man to be caught. Because he was clever, but so were you. You decided, and I can't remember the reason for this, but you decided to scan those two dogs' microchip numbers while they were with you. What was your reason for doing that? Did you smell a rat?
It was a little bit, yes. Yes, well, it started to add up a little bit after he'd gone, and he was down in South Africa then. They weren't quite the dog he described. He said they were American bulldogs. We didn't think so. And fortunately, one of the staff has a scanner, and she got photographs of them. I could send you a couple of photographs of them as well. She just scanned them. I don't know why she did, but we've got them anyway. Okay. And I know as well that they're registered with the pet log register. Because they confirmed that they are registered with a person, but they won't release it to a private citizen. That's the trouble.
But they would to the police. And that's why, to come back to the point I was making, that's why this is frustrating. Because if the police, armed with those microchip numbers, were to contact Petlog and were to say, we're Hertfordshire Police, can you please tell us who these two dogs are registered to? As far as I'm concerned, there would be a very high chance that they would then be given the details for the owner of those two dogs who ripped you off. But for some reason, they don't want to do it. Action Fraud.
No, I think they're just basically curtailed by the system. You know, I've written to David Lloyd, the Hearts Crime Commissioner today, setting out pretty well why I'm so frustrated, because possibly he's got some sort of channel through to the police that will help unlock this sort of logjam. And I await his response now.
Okay, well, as you know, there are elections going on at the moment, so let's move on from that. But regarding Action Fraud and regarding the fact that they don't seem to want, armed with this potential lead, they don't want to get the ball rolling on this. I went back to them again and said, look, this is just not on, because there's the potential for someone to be caught and held to account for this. They've come back and said, unfortunately, we have no power over what reports are disseminated for investigation. This is the press office for Action Fraud that have come back. What we would say is that just because Jeremy's report hasn't been disseminated for investigation at this moment in time doesn't mean it won't be in the future. If similar reports come in with similar identifying details, such as a suspect name, email address, bank account details, they will be linked and can later be disseminated for investigation. What they also go on to suggest, and I think this is worth doing, if Jeremy is unhappy with the handling of his report, then there is some guidance available on Action Fraud's website about the complaints policy. Now, I think it is worth putting in a complaint on this, Jeremy. It's entirely up to you if you decide to do so. But I think it is worth you putting in a complaint based on the fact that there is a lead. We all understand if somebody gets conned over the phone by some telephone scam that, to be honest, could have been carried out by anyone in the world, there's very little to go on, then yes, it's devastating for the person. But we could all understand if Action Fraud said, well, do you know what, we're just going to spend hours and hours working on this, we're not going to get anywhere. But with this particular case, there is somewhere to go. There is the potential, and I find it very frustrating that at this stage we're hitting a brick wall. It's not on. So I think that it is worth putting in a complaint and asking them to please look again at whether or not this is one of those cases that would be worth them passing on to Hertfordshire Police in order for Hertfordshire Police to do the investigation for you. I'm sure there are lots and lots of very good detectives at Hertfordshire Police who would love the opportunity to trace this person, because I'm almost prepared, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would almost be prepared to put a bet that this guy will have done this before and probably is known to the police. Because people like this, who are prepared to pull the kind of scam over you, they normally have a history of having ripped people off here, there and everywhere. So there's no way in my mind this person will have been a complete angel up until this point. So I'm sure they would love the opportunity. Are you prepared to put in a formal complaint to Action Fraud?
Well, I that's what the police had said to me when I got back to them, and the local police. They said, look, you can actually put an appeal in. Yeah. But in fact, when I went on the site, I couldn't find any way of doing that. All you can do is add extra information. But I don't know whether you could send me a link to a place. I'll certainly put it in.
Yes, I can. I've got the link here.
So, okay, if you could send that back to me by email, that'd be great.
I will do that. If you can please put in the formal complaint, let's see where we go. Because as I've said to you before, I am not prepared just to let this one go. You say that you've got photographs of the dogs.
Facial ones, yeah, the frontal ones, yes, certainly. Yep. I'll send you them if you wish.
Yes, I think that would be quite useful. I need to just do a little bit of research to find out how we stand in terms of doing this, but I wonder whether I can share those photographs with a view to someone potentially knowing who they belong to.
Well, you know, I don't know if you read my email to you this morning, but I did. One of your very keen listeners has also contacted me. He managed to track me down, and he has suggested about breeders, because this one was a male and one was a female. In fact, when they came, the female was actually on heat, and we had to separate them because we didn't want him to end up with a load of puppies that he didn't expect.
Right.
And so your listener was suggesting that they were breeding dogs, and he then suggested lots of breeding sites that are they're for sale on the internet. I'm not sure if I can go down to that sort of level of detail, but listeners may well be able to. Yeah, I don't know if there's a possibility there.
Well, let's see how we stand from a legal perspective, because the last thing I want to do is anything that would jeopardise a successful case if indeed we get to a stage where we can persuade Action Fraud and the police to investigate this, which is what I think needs to happen. This is because, I'm a Hertfordshire resident myself. I believe that businesses in Hertfordshire, and probably Bedfordshire and Buckinghamshire as well, are at risk of this man doing the same thing to them. Now, I want the police to try and find him, and to stop him, and to hold him accountable. I don't want this to happen to other people, and I find it really frustrating that someone has done this. And I'll tell you what makes it even worse. If somebody had pulled a scam on a big supermarket, that's bad, but, we could all move on with our lives. This guy has scammed someone who, in very difficult times during a global pandemic, when your business is tough to keep going, has ripped you off to the tune of over 1,700 quid. We are in the middle of a pandemic. That means I would imagine you do not have anywhere near as many dogs coming to board with you as you would normally have. You're trying to keep your business going. You're trying to keep employing people. And I just think it's absolutely disgusting that this man has preyed on you at this time. More than any other time. It's just such a low thing to do. It's just sickening. Listen, let's leave it there, Jeremy. I'll get that link sent over to you, and I promise you we're not going anywhere until somebody investigates this. Amanda came to me. She was telling me that her mum, June, decided to update her rather lovely Regency-style sofa. Originally, she was going to have it all recovered, but because it's a bit awkward to get out of the house, well, one particular company recommended loose covers for it instead.
A representative measured up, and my mum chose some striped fabric, a 1 centimetre striped Regency fabric. And then she was advised at the time that due to the bow of the sofa, the style of it, there could be some pleating, but she wasn't advised how much or where it would actually be on the sofa. In total, it's £742, so it wasn't a cheap option. But when the covers arrived and they were fitted by the representative, you could see there on the top of the bow of the sofa, there are 4 large pleats that have been machined at the top, and they're all facing the same direction. So it completely ruins the effects and distorts the stripes. The arms do not fit flush to the sofa, and there's a lot of puckering around the arms. You know, it was a lot of money, and it should have been something that's quite a centrepiece in the room, is now covered up with a throw.
Well, both Amanda and June had been back to the company. They weren't prepared to do anything about it. Well, when I saw the photos, I was just appalled. I mean, the sofa, you can tell, the actual shape of the sofa, very, very nice. If you've got the right kind of property, that kind of sofa would look absolutely beautiful. The fabric I rather liked as well, if the fabric had properly been fitted. But these covers, well, I mean, I don't want to be rude, but they just looked awful. Amanda's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, Jonathan. Thanks for having me back on.
They just didn't look very nice, which was such a shame because it was taking a lovely bit of furniture and, in my mind, ruining it. The arms for the sofa, they looked far too baggy, whereas this style of sofa, you need the fabric over the arms to be quite tight, don't you, to show the shape of the furniture.
Exactly.
There are some shapes of sofa where having slightly saggy covers don't look too bad. It's kind of in keeping with the kind of style of sofa. But this is quite a prim and proper sofa, and you would therefore expect the fabric to be nice and tight and properly fitted to it. I went off to have a word with the company concerned. They came back initially just to say that they were sorry to hear that your mum wasn't happy with it, and they were trying to make contact with you. They did then finally make contact with you. What did they at that point agree to do?
We agreed, they gave us several options, but the most suitable one was to take a full refund. So they asked if we could package up the covers and return them, and then once returned, they would issue Mum with a full refund. Right,
which is great. So you were going to get those covers sent back to them. Have you done that, and what's happened?
Well, we received the packaging. We placed them in there, and unfortunately, they were due to have been collected by courier on Friday, but this didn't materialise. So, having contacted the company again, Mum has heard back from them. We both contacted them on Friday, but they closed down early on a Friday, unfortunately. But they are due to be collected by 1 p.m. today. So hopefully the covers will be collected, and then once received, the refund will come through.
And has your mum done any investigation as to what she's going to do next? Because, I mean, the sofa underneath those covers, it does need attention, doesn't it? So is she going to bite the bullet and get it properly reupholstered?
Yes, she's looking into options of getting them reupholstered again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, different company, but yes, absolutely
Well,
not using the loose covers.
No, and if she can get it done, my old next door neighbour, she had and still does have 2 very nice sofas. And I remember years ago when I lived in the flat next door, and she said to me, "Oh, I've had these sofas for 20 years now, and I'm just thinking that they, maybe I should update them. Where should I go and buy new sofas from?" And I said, "You know what? I wouldn't. There's such good quality. The quality of them, you would have to pay an absolute fortune for today, because most of the furniture that is for sale in many of these shops is a load of old junk." So I said, if I were you, I'd get it reupholstered. And she did. She found a guy that redid them, took the whole lot away, did them beautifully. And that furniture is still going very, very strong, and it looks lovely. And it was worth spending that money to get it redone, because it will probably last for another 20 years, to be honest. And I think that's probably the same with your mum's sofa.
I think so. I think that's what she'll be looking at. So we'll keep you posted.
Please do. Yes, if you would keep me in the loop, and we'll take it. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Thank you. Back on the 15th of July 1990, I bought a pocket digital radio.
1990?
19. It was a couple of years ago.
Do you mean 2019?
Sorry, 2019.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. I was thinking, my word, that is a very long time ago.
2019. I've had it a few years now. 2019.
Right.
Yes, I bought it, and I had a fault with it. It wouldn't charge up. I reported it on the 7th of April. It came with an extended warranty. If I registered the thing within a month, then I got an extra 3 years. I thought, well, that's brilliant. I can't believe that. So of course I registered it.
And this was a pocket radio.
A pocket radio, yeah.
What? Forgive me. What's that?
Digital radio that goes in your pocket.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and
it sounds a bit of an old-fashioned device, to be honest.
Really? No, they are about.
Really? Are they? Pocket. Oh, I guess for me, I guess my mobile phone is my pocket radio. If I want to listen to the radio when I'm out walking my dog or whatever, I just put it on my mobile phone. But this is kind of like a traditional radio that's pocket-sized and you can take with you.
That's it. That's the one. Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. How much was it?
It was £31.95.
Okay. And I hope you listened to my programme on it.
Yes, I do, of course.
Good, that's the right answer.
And I did register it for the extra warranty, and I thought, fine, that's good. Anyway, on the 7th of April, it developed a fault, just gone, 7th of April, 21, and it wouldn't charge up. So every time I turned it on, after 2 seconds, it would say low battery and just went off again. So I wrote to them, I said, look, I've got a fault with it, an email, and they said, well, try turning it off and turning it on and turning it off again, and it will reset itself. I said, well, I can't because it doesn't stay on long enough. Anyway, they sent an email back saying, well, can you prove that you the purchase? So I sent off my receipt for the purchase. Then they said, well, we don't think that you actually registered it. And I said, well, I'm sure I did. So I had to go through all my emails, and I found it. I found the registration, so I sent that back. I said, right, now I hope this is the end of it. Can you please either repair or replace it? It was one. Anyway, so they said, well, no, I'm afraid we can't because it's a fault, and that's it. So I'm a bit stuck, really. I don't know what to do.
Well, cheeky devils. So hang on a second. So not only have you got cover under the Consumer Rights Act of 2015, I mean, that extended warranty that you took out,
yes.
That shouldn't be necessary anyway, because this product should be fit for purpose and should last for a reasonable amount of time. And I mean, I don't consider less than 2 years a reasonable amount of time. So that you've got protection under the law is what I'm saying. But then on top of that, you also extended the warranty that came from the manufacturer on this product. So neither company will help you. That's ridiculous.
Quite.
Please tell me you didn't have to pay any extra money to extend that warranty.
No, it was a free. As long as you registered the product with the company, then they give you an extended warranty.
Okay. Because I have known, there have been situations in the past where I've purchased something relatively inexpensive and the retailer has then tried to sell me an extended warranty on that product. You know, let's say it's something that costs 20 quid. They then say, we can sell you a 3-year extended warranty for $19.99. And you say, well, why on earth would I do that? Why on earth would I pay another 20 quid to extend a warranty when the Consumer Rights Act already covers me? It makes no sense. But of course, they're always hoping that some consumers will think, oh, well, you know, you can never be too...
have that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have that bit of peace of mind for a few years. Yeah. The fact that they could just go out and buy a whole new one, if it went wrong anyway, for the same price that they're paying for the extended warranty, it doesn't make any sense. But there we go. So this company, they won't offer you anything at all. They just say, no, it's broken and there's nothing we can do.
That's about the strength of it, yes.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Right, can you hang on there? Tara, can we get some detail?
Can I be your pocket radio digital expert?
Yes, I mean, I must just... I can't... You do sound like your quaint old-fashioned thing, to be honest. What on earth? Pocket radio?
There's a great deal of joy to be said having small like that you can put in your pocket that's not a phone. My daughter's just found a Sony Walkman that is about 35 years old.
Well, that's what I've got in my mind.
All the time.
Is it like a Walkman?
Yes, it is. It is a bit. That sort of thing. Yes.
What kind of mobile phone have you? Have you not got a mobile phone that's got BBC Sounds on it?
Yes, I have, but I've got limited data, so I tend not to use it. I tend to use it for other things, and the phone, it uses data, doesn't it?
Do you know one of the? Well, yeah, but not very much. Not for the radio. One of the things I love the most about BBC Sounds is that you can, if I'm walking the dog and I want to listen to the radio, whatever, you can go back to the beginning of a programme, you can pause it, you can fast forward. You
can bookmark bits.
You can do all kinds of things. It's so good. So it's well worth just looking into the future. But in the sorry,
it's the present.
Sorry. But look, let's get some detail and go and have a word with this company. I mean, none of this changes the basics. That this product should still be fit for purpose and last for a reasonable amount of time, and it hasn't lasted for a reasonable amount of time. And the company doesn't seem, based on what you're telling me, to want to honour your statutory rights. That's not acceptable. Mike, hang on there. I'm going to pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail. Miriam purchased a 4-door American-style fridge freezer. This was in the middle of 2018. It cost just under £900. But a few months down the line, Miriam noticed there was an issue with this fridge freezer, a rather strange issue.
Christmas time of 2018, I started to notice that the doors continuously closed at great speed. I found it very difficult to hold them open, to either wash the fridge or to load it with anything or to put anything in. I'd have to hold the doors open, literally, with my bar stools. They're both open now. That's them both closing. You wouldn't let a child go to the fridge to take something out.
Well, Miriam tried to contact the retailer and the manufacturer, but was getting nowhere. Eventually, the manufacturer suggested they could put her in touch with a repair firm who would come around to have a look at the doors, but there'd be a cost for that of £180. Well, Miriam's not happy. She feels that this fridge freezer is not of reasonable quality. The doors should not slam shut on you. They should stay open. And she said that the display model in the shop didn't do the same. The doors were much calmer, much less vigorous. Well, what's the latest on the case? Miriam's back on the JVS show. Hello, Miriam.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, Tara's been speaking to both the manufacturer and the retailer, and we thought that we were on to something good because the manufacturer said they were going to send someone out. The manufacturer did indeed send someone out, and we were hoping that he'd be able to, with a screwdriver or something, change something on the hinges to slow the doors down so they didn't slam. Because ideally, you love this fridge freezer, don't you, Miriam?
I do. I like it.
You like it? It looks nice. If it wasn't for the blooming doors, you'd be happy.
Oh, definitely.
So we were hoping, ideally, he could fiddle with the doors, reset the hinges, and it would all be fine. Trouble is, when he came down, and you were saying that he came all the way from, was it Newcastle?
Yes.
And he stayed overnight in a hotel, this engineer. He
Yes,
then came
the
out
night
to
before.
he came out to your property, and it didn't appear there was any adjustment on the hinges, because what he ended up doing was trying to put a plank of wood behind the whole thing to lift it up, so that it was all leaning forward a bit, which would then add a bit more weight to the front of the doors. But that all sounds a bit Heath Robinson. And to be honest, that only had a positive effect on one of the doors anyway. The other one was still slamming shut. So the retailer was really the only other port of call. And the retailer, Tara, had indeed offered to replace this fridge freezer for a new one. Trouble is, the new one is not quite the same as the one that Miriam likes.
Well, they made that offer, hadn't they, Miriam? And
Yes.
they made that directly to you, and I will get something from them later on today. I do have something from the manufacturer that I can read to you. But I suppose one of the things was, as we left you on Friday, you were going to go and have a look at their store, weren't you, to see if there was something that was suitable. Did you
That's
find
right.
something?
Well, yes, we have found something. Obviously, we have to be very careful on height as well, because it has to fit into the fridge freezer housing. So we have found something, same make, slightly different colour. But yeah, it's a 4-door, exactly as we wanted. So yes, we have found it.
Right, okay. And that's something that you would be able to select from the retailer without any additional money, or what?
Yes, they haven't asked. I spoke to the retailers yesterday. The lady rang me, and I've given her the model number. And fingers crossed, all going well, we should have a delivery on Wednesday. She hasn't said there's any cost. It's not much more than our original one, so it hopefully arrives on Wednesday.
Well, that's great. It's still just unfortunate that the manufacturer couldn't adjust your existing fridge freezer, because I would imagine that perfectly good fridge freezer now, albeit with overly vigorous doors that shut too quickly, I presume that's just going to be taken away and crushed.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I looked on the manufacturer's website, and our fridge freezer does come up still, but you can't purchase it. And looking at the reviews, in February of this year, it looks as though somebody else has problems with them. Now, when the guy was here on Friday, he said he'd never heard of anything like this before. So I was very disappointed that he didn't sort of adjust anything, try to take a door off, see what the hinges were like. He just put this plank of wood at the back, and that was his answer to it all.
Although you are happy enough to go with the same manufacturer again then, as you say.
Well, that's the only sort of size I've got options on. At the retailers, the other sort of styles were 2 doors. When they were 4 doors, they were a lot more expensive. You're talking sort of a couple of thousands. And I didn't really want to be that cheeky and go for something like that, and I don't really want to add anything to it. So I have to go with the same manufacturer again.
Right. Well, let's hope that your new one will look good and will be perfect. I presume the retailer's going to take the old one away for you.
Yes, I'm assuming they will.
Well, you might want to just clarify that.
Okay.
Because otherwise they may say, oh, no, that we're happy to give you a new one, but we're not taking the old one away, in which case you're then going to be lumbered with a great big fridge freezer that you've got to dispose of. So I think I would definitely seek clarification on that, unless you know of anyone else that would like it and is prepared to put up with its vigorous doors.
Yes, I don't really know. Everyone that's looked at it has said the same thing. God, I couldn't cope with that. So I'm not going to take that sort of time and looking round and then having the hassle that somebody says, oh, it doesn't work well. So I'm sure that they'll take it back. But I will contact the retailers today just to make sure that it goes.
How odd that it's the top doors that are the issue and not the bottom. Because they should be the same sort of hinges.
Open, the freezer doors. And when I asked the engineer on Friday, after he had placed this wood, why does one door stay open and not the other, he looked at me as if I was asking a question from God knows where. And he said, well, that's the way it goes. And I thought, no, this isn't the way it goes. If you've now made my fridge freezer lean completely forward, why is the left door not doing something? So there's obviously a fault with the doors. He didn't seem to want... I think he was more eager to go home, basically. It was a 5.5-hour drive, as he said, and he just wanted to go back home. So...
Well, Well, quite why the company decided to send him as their representative.
I've got no idea.
A bit odd, but
when he rang me Thursday and said he was staying over Thursday night, and I thought, well, where have you come from? He said Newcastle. I thought, seriously?
Yes. Well, it's a bit odd, because if I was running a manufacturing company of fridge freezers, and I had one of my products being the subject for discussion on a BBC programme, and I was sending one of my engineers down to see if he could fix it, I would get my very best engineer and pay him some extra money to go all the way down from Newcastle down to wherever you live and to try and get it sorted. I wouldn't send someone out who, frankly, can't wait to get back again and thinks that shoving a bit of wood under the back of it is going to solve the problem. But there we go. Miriam, listen, let's wait and see what happens. Can you please keep us in the loop?
Will do.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, all the best. It's the JVS show. It's BBC Three Counties Radio for Beds, Hearts and Bucks. Let me quickly squeeze Barry in, because Barry came to me. He was telling me that he bought an extendable dining room table in May of last year. This table seats up to 8 people, costs £1,200, got a graphite top. But at the beginning of August last year, Barry's wife spotted a problem.
4 weeks ago now, I come home from work and my wife approached and said, look, you seen this? I said, what's that? I said, well, come and have a look. In one of the sections of the dining room table, there's a split. And I said, well, how's that happened? She said, well, I don't know. Spoke to my daughters and they said, there's no idea how it's got there. We don't know how it's happened. Yeah, it's just a big split down one of the sections of the extendable part of the table. So I rung the branch and they said, do you mind if you come and have a look? I said, not a problem, of course not. So he come out, he inspected it. He couldn't work out what happened. I said, well, to be honest, we don't know how it's happened. Took some photographs. He said, I'll obviously get in touch with the supplier and I'll let you know. And he said to me, oh, it's not a manufacturing defect. The supplier agrees with me and you have to go through your protection plans.
Well, it was all very odd. I went off and had a word with the company. They decided that they were going to replace the tabletop, but that's when all kinds of fun and games began, because trying to get a replacement tabletop has taken months and months. Barry's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Barry.
Good afternoon, Jonathan.
They did finally replace the tabletop. The replacement tabletop then had a chunk of it that fell off the corner. And in fact, your wife cut herself on it. So at this point, we went back to the retailer again and said, look, this is ridiculous. They said, yes, OK, it is ridiculous. What we'd like to do is we would like Barry to come back in as soon as our shop reopens and to reselect a different table and we'll get it replaced. So you were due to go in this weekend, Barry. How'd you get on?
Yes, we went to the branch yesterday and we went up to look at all the dining room tables and we have found one that we like and we have basically decided to swap that with the table we got now. So
fantastic. Yeah, and is it in stock?
It's a 13-week wait for this one, I'm afraid. So but we've still got a table to sit at and have our dinners at the moment. As I said, it's just a little bit at the corner we just be careful of. Obviously, we put sellotape it back on, sort of thing. But we have a table at the moment, so yeah, another 13 weeks, and hopefully we should have a table. We've gone for a solid oak tabletop.
Right. Okay.
We've completely gone away from what we've chosen this time, and it's non-extendable. Well, it has a bit at the end where you can stick a bit of wood at the end of it, but that just looks really horrible. So we've gone for something that's slightly bigger than is the one we got now when it's not extendable, but it's slightly smaller than when it is extendable. So I think for 8 people it'll be a squeeze but obviously for the amount of times we'll have that many people at a table, it shouldn't be a major problem. So it sits 6 people very comfortably.
Great. And is it the same price, or have you got to pay any extra?
No, it's cheaper. So they said they will refund that back. Obviously, the difference to me straight away. So Good. We did go out looking for a cheaper table. There was a couple of tables we were looking at, and we just, as I say, the problem we had this one, we was put off with the other tables because they were very similar sort of make and that sort of design. So we just poo-pooed them straight away, and as I said, we've gone for back to the old-fashioned solid oak tabletop, which we've had before.
There's a reason why solid oak tables are good. And there's a reason why solid oak is such a good material to make tables out of. And hopefully it will last for many, many, many years and you won't have bits dropping off it or cracking. I'm going to give the company this. Oh, just a bit of the horn. In 13 weeks, hopefully less, they'll get the rest. Can you please keep me in the loop?
I certainly shall.
Brilliant. OK, Barry, we'll talk. Hello, Sue.
Oh, hello, Jonathan. How are
Hello,
you?
Sue. I'm good, thank you. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Yes. So about just under 3.5 years ago, I bought a cooker, and some weeks ago now, the bottom oven, so the main oven, suddenly packed up, suddenly stopped working. So I emailed. I couldn't get through on the phone. It just gave a constant message. So I emailed, sent about 3 emails and nothing. And in the automatic email back, it said, we aim to contact you within 48 hours. And this was a few weeks ago now. And I have sent 3. And I even reminded them on the last email of the, I'm sure you're aware of the Consumer Rights Act 2015, etc., but nothing. And nothing on the phone either.
And I presume this is the retailer you've been taking this up with?
Yes, it is.
Right. But they're just not responding at all?
Not responding at all. Nothing. I managed to get hold of another number, and that was constantly engaged.
Are they in business?
I wondered, actually.
Did you buy it from a company you'd heard of, or did you buy it from some bizarre company on the internet that no one's ever encountered before?
I hadn't heard of them, but I haven't read terribly good reviews since.
Just out of interest, why would you buy something as important as a cooker from a company you'd never heard of?
I honestly don't know. I was in desperate need of a cooker, and I thought, okay, that seems like a good deal. But I don't usually do this sort of thing, but I did.
It was a moment of weakness.
It was, I'm afraid. And I thought, okay, that's fine. And a friend of mine said, oh, yes, that's fine. I'll make sure it's all connected for you, etc. And I thought, oh, good, tickety-boo, and I bought it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my team are having a little look while we're on air, and apparently the company's website is currently under maintenance.
Yes, I know that myself. Yeah.
Which is a bit of a concern, because when a company doesn't communicate and suddenly their website goes down, that's very often a bit of an indication there's something going on. And of course, the problem is if the company you have the contract with, i.e. the retailer, if they have gone, then you're probably going to find you've not got very many avenues to explore. How did you pay for this cooker?
Visa debit.
Why Visa debit, not Visa credit?
I mean, I thought it was pretty much the same as.
No,
I do listen to you, and I do know you go on about credit, but it was just at the time it was easier.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Let me just explain why it's important. So when you buy something on a credit card, you are covered by the Consumer Credit Act. It covers you for any purchases made over £100, and there is, unlike a debit card where there's normally, I think it's about 120 days from the date of purchase on a debit card that you've got protection. A credit card, you'll have protection for years afterwards. So in the event of a retailer going bust and not being around anymore, and at this stage I don't have any knowledge as to whether that is the case or not. We'll obviously go and have a look into it. But it does mean that you at that point can go back to your credit card company, because your credit card company in the eyes of the law is jointly liable with the retailer. If you paid for the cooker on a debit card, then that time frame for any protection has more than evaporated. And I'm afraid if the retailer has gone out of business, you've got nowhere to go. And if that is the case, I'm afraid you're either going to have to pay someone to come and fix the cooker, or you're going to have to replace it if it's not repairable. Okay?
Yes, okay.
So, I mean,
I will remember that.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's two things I would just say in terms of a bit of advice for other people listening to the programme. Firstly, try to always buy from good, reputable companies that you've heard of, particularly when you're looking at important things for your house, like a cooker. A cooker is a really important thing. And you want to make sure that you're buying it from a company that has good after-sales service, because if a year or two down the line you then start having a problem with it, you want that company to still be around and for someone to be answering the phone and to help you. If you go on the internet and try and find, and I know the tendency is always there, I've done it myself, we all do it, you start looking around for the best possible price for a certain product. You come across some weird website that no one's ever heard of, but they're selling the same cooker for £100 cheaper than anyone else, and you think, oh, that's good. Oh, well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, actually, there's probably quite a lot of bad things that could happen. So, in my opinion, life's too short. So I don't...
Yes, they did come up with I think I compared the price, if I remember, at the time. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But I will learn from this.
Well, just always think when you're making that purchase, is this something that is really important that I need some after-sales service with in the future? Yeah. And if it is, well, the companies then that you want to be thinking about. You know those brands. They're out there. They've been around for years, and the reason they've been around for years is because they tend to look after their customers, and there is some after-sales service if you need it. It doesn't always work out that way, and I end up having to deal with those companies as well. But at least we know they'll still probably be around. Now, regarding your particular cooker, I think we need to go and have a little word, do a little bit of research, and if possible, get hold of someone and just find out what's going on if they are still in business. If, however, they're not in business, that's going to be a bit troublesome. Let's see what we can do. Sue, can I pass you back to Tara? You said it was the bottom oven, so have you got one oven that is at least working?
Yes, it's the smaller one, the top oven. It's fine, but it's a little small. So if I'm doing a bigger dish and for people as well, it's a little bit cramped. It's not ideal.
Right.
But it's okay. It's serviceable.
You got something. How much was the cooker in the first place?
I think it was around, I can't remember the exact price, just under $350 something. It wasn't extortionate, but yes.
And is the I don't want any indication as to which brand it is, but would I have heard of the brand or not?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Fine. But I presume it only came with a 12-month guarantee.
I think it probably did, and I can't honestly remember now. I have sent some of the information on to your team, but I think it probably came with, yes, probably did.
Right, okay. Well, if it only came with a 1-year guarantee, the manufacturer, forget it. They don't need to do anything at all to help you. And if the retailer's gone, well, then your chances of doing anything have gone as well. But let's see what we can find out. Yeah. I'm going to pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail, okay?
Well, in good news, it looks as though Companies House, the retailer, is still active.
Although very often there's months of delay.
There could be a delay, but they're not too bad.
Well,
at updating it. So, well, let's see. The website thing does look a little bit unnerving.
I'm going to pass you back. We'll get some detail. We'll go and have a word, okay? Gail came to me. She purchased a king-size memory foam mattress in 2017. To start with, it was absolutely lovely. But that didn't last long.
As time's gone on, it's become really, really hard to the point that I've had to buy a new mattress because it became so hard and so uncomfortable that we just couldn't sleep on it. We were waking up and we were absolutely exhausted and we were aching. And since we've got the new mattress, it's amazing. We're sleeping really well.
Well, Gail's already gone out and bought a new mattress because she needed something comfortable to sleep on, but she has still got the old one, and she's not happy with this. She really feels as if the company should either give her a refund or at least replace it, and she can then give the replacement to a family member instead. Well, I went off to have a word with the company on Gail's behalf. She's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Gail.
Hello.
Hello. Right, so the company, and I have to be honest, I'd never heard of this company before, but they surprised me with their fairly positive response. They came back and said, we are proactively working with the customer to review the product and then help them to further once the assessment has been made. If there is a fault with the mattress, we need to identify any issues so we can resolve this for the customer. So this all sounded positive. It sounded as if they wanted to try and help. And in fact, when I spoke to you last time on the programme, you said that they were going to be sending out an independent assessor to come and have a look at the mattress to determine what was causing it to go so hard. Now, am I right in recalling that yesterday was the day they were due to come out, or was it this morning?
It was yesterday morning.
Okay, what happened?
He came out and he had all his equipment with him and did the assessment, and he said to me that he'll tell me the truth and also the company the truth, exactly what if there is a problem, and the mattress is faulty.
What did he say was causing it to go so hard?
So he said, I'm not an expert at all, but he said, I hope I've got this right. He said it should shrink by 4.5 centimetres, which he said sounds a lot in the first few years, but mine has, I hope I'm saying this right, mine has shrunk by 5.5 centimetres, which makes the mattress harder.
What? So is that the actual memory foam shrinks over the life of the mattress?
That's what I'm guessing he meant. I didn't really understand it, but he said that it had failed the assessment, and I said, is there any? Could the company then come back and want to reassess? And he said, no, my decision's final. So that's. I was actually really pleased because I didn't know which way it was going, because I know that we found it really uncomfortable and hard, but I'm pleased that there was an actual fault that's been recognised.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, and I don't like memory foam mattresses. It's very personal preference, I know. Some people absolutely love the feel of them. I remember going once to New York for the weekend and went into this hotel and lay on the mattress, and it was like lying on a lump of butter. And it was absolutely horrible. I hated it. And yet other people were saying, oh, no, they're so lovely, these mattresses that feel like that. So it does depend. But I wonder whether what tends to happen then is that the foam, over the course of the life, I wonder whether it dries out. And in drying out, it shrinks a bit. And when it dries out and shrinks, it then tends to go harder. Or I wonder whether that's what's happened in your case.
Well, I have no idea, but he did say that there was a fault with it, and the company will be in touch to hopefully resolve it. But I know the company were very efficient with you, but they weren't interested at all before you got involved when I contacted them. It was only when you got involved that they said about the independent engineer, and I had contacted them on numerous occasions.
Well, do you think it might be a good idea then for me to go back and just say, I've had the chat with Gail, I gather the engineer came out and confirmed that the mattress was indeed faulty. How are you planning to resolve this matter for the customer?
That would be brilliant.
I think that's probably, based on the fact that you felt as if they weren't really helping you, I think that may well be a good idea. The only slight issue is, of course, they may well turn around at that point and say, OK, well, what we'll do is we will replace the mattress. You don't really want a replacement, do you?
No, I don't. I really don't. Firstly, their customer service to me before you got involved wasn't good at all, and I really don't want to be in this stage in a couple of years' time. I would, now that it's official there is a fault, I'd really like my money back if possible.
You would not be entitled to the full amount of money back.
Right, OK.
Just so I manage your expectations, you've had the mattress since 2017, so to demand a full refund would not be acceptable. I mean, they may offer that to you, but they certainly don't have to. Let's just work out exactly what you would be owed then. So how much did you pay for the mattress?
£291.38, something along those lines of pence.
OK. So, your average mattress, you are recommended to change your mattress every 8 to 10 years. Now, this is a relatively inexpensive mattress, so you can't expect it to last for a very long time. So let's work on the lower of those time limits. Let's work out 8 years. So that gives a total of £36 per year. And you've had it for what, 3.5 years?
Yes, yeah.
So you're looking at £126 worth of life that you've had.
Yes.
What was the total again? £291.
Sorry,
291. We less the 126. So that would mean that realistically, the best you could hope for would be a refund of £165.
That's fine. That's fine. Now, the mattress did have a 10-year guarantee, so hopefully that will work in my favour slightly. But anything is better. I'm just so pleased that they've found a fault that is recognised, if that makes sense.
Well, it's very weird as well. I mean, I've never heard of your mattress drying out and going hard. I mean, it sounds all very weird. But there we go. Right, well, I'll drop them a quick line. I'll just let them know you and I have had the chat and see how they want to resolve the matter. Now, Lisa had new neighbours move in August of last year. Lisa lives in a semi-detached house. It soon became clear that these new neighbours who moved in next door are not very quiet. Apparently, the man in the relationship plays the drums. And Lisa says this can be for 5 hours at a time.
So, for example, Monday, we're sitting down for dinner at 6 o'clock. It starts for half an hour. I can hear it in my bedroom. I can hear it in the hallway. I can hear it when I walk in through the door. It's not necessarily takes a Saturday afternoon trip because that's when he's having his lesson. It can be Monday tea time. It can be Monday afternoon. It can be any sporadic time. So at the moment, we're quite fortunate at the fact that you can't mix houses, because I know with the velocity of the noise that we had for 3 weekends in October and November, it felt like they were in my living room. For 27 years, Jonathan, I've lived there, and the previous family were a family of 4 with 2 small children. I mean, obviously I'd hear the children, but it's children noise. And you know that children aren't going to be children forever. They grow into adults. But the drumming, I don't want to hear it.
Well, Lisa has involved the local environmental health department from the council. She's been given recording equipment, but the results apparently did not demonstrate above statutory noise levels being recorded from next door, which was not helpful. So where does Lisa stand on this? Well, I did explain to Lisa that obviously if the recordings weren't loud enough, if the recordings were not of a level that the council could take any action, that's obviously going to be a problem. But I said, look, let me go and have a word with the council. Let's see what they have to say, and we'll take it from there. That's exactly what I've done, and Lisa's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, morning.
Good morning. So, the council concerned, and I've decided at this stage I'm not going to identify the council.
No, okay.
Because I don't really think it's necessary to identify them. But more importantly, from your perspective, I don't think it would be helpful in a neighbourly dispute to highlight any further where you live or which council is kind of overseeing this. At this stage, I don't think it's necessary.
No, because they follow the same protocol throughout the country, don't they, really?
Yeah, exactly. And the most important thing is the council have been very quick to come back with a response and to outline, as far as they're concerned, how seriously they're taking all of this. They've come back and they say, our environmental health team treats all noise complaints seriously and does its utmost to carry out investigations in a professional and impartial way. Mm-hmm. We can only take enforcement action when a statutory nuisance exists, but the team does all it can to provide advice or broker a compromise between neighbours where appropriate. In this instance, our officers were made aware of the complainant's property. Our officers made visits to the complainant's property, including providing the complainant with a noise recorder, which helps with logging noise levels. We also made efforts to broker agreements between the complainant and her neighbour so that the drum playing could take place at a time that would cause minimum disruption and inconvenience. Our interventions established that the noise levels from the neighbour's drum playing did not constitute a statutory nuisance. We would be willing to reopen the investigation if there were to be a significant change of circumstances, such as if the noise levels increased or occurred more frequently. Yeah. Alternatively, if the complainant disagrees with the findings of our investigation, they can take their own action under the Environmental Protection of 1990. So let's just run through that. So first of all, we know that they've already given you the noise recording equipment, and we know that unfortunately that noise recording equipment did not record noise that was deemed to be a statutory nuisance. In layman's terms, the recording wasn't loud enough, was it?
No, and this is what we said Friday. Due to lockdown and the not mixing of houses, then he's not got his other drumming friends round, and there isn't accordion playing and cymbal bashing and all of the like when it's one as opposed to four. So I suppose with what you said on Friday, we need some mixing of houses, and we need the noise level to go up.
Well, it's unfortunate because, of course, that's going to be very annoying while it happens. But at least
it is, because I came home Friday from work. I got through the door at 6:15, and straight away the drum playing went on for an hour, and then again on Saturday it was for about an hour and a half. I can hear that. So I go out into the garden, I can hear it. I go out into the front garden, I can hear it. And then in the end, I'm picking up my keys and I'm going completely out of my road and just going for a wander somewhere, so I don't have to listen to it. But that's really unfair. It's totally unfair that I'm being made to leave my home because he's got a hobby.
Yes, it is. Now, they say, the council say in their response, that they've also tried to broker agreements between you and the next-door neighbour.
I don't know what that means, to be honest, Jonathan.
Well, this is the interesting bit. So, to me, it suggests as if they've had a chat with you and the neighbour to see if an agreement can be reached in terms of when he can play the drums, when it wouldn't bother you or inconvenience you. Have you had that conversation? Do you have any recollection of that conversation?
No, absolutely not. No. I've received a letter back from Environmental Health to say the case is closed should this noise continue, and you were right in what you said there, that if the noise comes to a level where it is a different sort of noise or a different heightened noise, if you like, then we can reopen the case, and then that's therefore diary sheets will be needed to be made. But I know that when my local borough councillor knocked at his door and said, look, I've received a letter with regards to the noise levels, as I am the elected ward councillor, this can't be very pleasant for either of you. Could I perhaps suggest some mediation? That would be nice, because obviously you're living next door to each other. You can't be living in this environment or with this hostility. It's unpleasant for the both of you.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's all right, thanks. Oh, okay, good to know then.
So you haven't had a conversation via the council?
Jonathan, no.
Where...
all I've had was that letter.
Because obviously you mentioned that you came home on Friday after work. I mean, it sounds to me, if you're going out to work, as if...
Drum when I'm not there.
Well, I was going to say, this is the point. If you're going out to work, what kind of hours do you work?
I'm out of the door by 7 in the morning, and I'm home. I could be home anything from 4:30 in the afternoon to 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And my car's out the front, so all you've got to do is look out of the window. Is her car there? No. Is her son's car there? Is anyone's car there? No. Are they in the back garden? No. I haven't heard anyone walking up and downstairs or any general bumping around in the house next door, so therefore they must be out of the house. And it's exactly what my son said. We've been out all day. You would think that he would do his drumming when we're not here.
Yeah, I mean, look, he doesn't need to. He obviously has bought the house next door. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to base his entire life around what you're doing next door. He doesn't need to be looking out the window. Absolutely. But that's the point, isn't it? So, I mean, if, for example, you're out at work all morning, then surely could it not be agreed to him that if he wants to do his drumming, he does his drumming kind of late morning for a few hours, because you're not going to be in?
But he's had this conversation with the police, and it's I think what the phrase that came back to me was, "I'm not being told what to do in my own home." Granted, you are completely right. I am not here to tell you how to live your life, but you have a hobby that should not be inflicted on us next door.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to listen to it.
No, absolutely. I mean, as you say, you're perfectly within your rights to do whatever you want in your own home, as long as it doesn't destroy anybody else's enjoyment of their property. And I used to have, when I lived in a block of flats, I used to have the same discussion with people who would move into the flats, who sometimes didn't realise that even though they'd purchased the right to live in that house or that flat, that doesn't then mean that they can just do whatever they want if it has an inconvenience on other people living around them.
Of course.
You're living in a shared environment.
I like a bit of loud music on a Friday and Saturday night, but I don't, because I don't live in a nightclub. I live in a residential area, and I've got neighbours, and I'm very mindful of the fact of even this morning putting my washing out at 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, making sure that when I opened my washing line, it wasn't clicking and making a noise, and that when I open the door, that I'm not making a noise when I'm outside pinning my washing out. So therefore, not to disturb my neighbours. That's who I am. The previous tenants had small children, and she would say, "Oh, we would never let the children out on the trampoline at 7 o'clock in the morning because obviously you're still in bed and you've been working all week." Oh, that's really sweet of you, but please don't keep your children hostage. If you could make it till about 8:15, that would be great. But that was the kind of mutual respect that we had for each other. And he's taken great offence at the fact that I've said, you need to get some soundproofing in place, i.e. get some furniture, because you're living like you're constantly moving out. Who lives like that? But, he clearly does. He likes the acoustics in the extension and the living room, and as to what that creates when he's drumming.
The problem is, it sounds to me, that's the kind of behaviour of someone who's a bit eccentric. And of course, with eccentric people, sometimes they don't necessarily think in the same way that other people think. And that can be quite frustrating, because all you really want is for him to think a little bit about you and to think about the effect that his hobby has on you living next door. Do you have house insurance?
I do, yes.
Do you have legal cover as part of your house insurance?
Good question. I've never been down that route. I know that I've been speaking to solicitors, and the bill that's going to create. I can't afford to go down that route.
No, but if you have legal cover under your home insurance, then that is the kind of thing that would be covered under your legal cover. So it may well at that point be worth speaking to your insurance company to see if their solicitors who act on their behalf could deal with this matter on your behalf.
Okay.
So I think
thank you.
If you can make some investigation there, I'm going to stay across this, and if I need to go back to the council, I will. But I think we are just going to have to kind of monitor the situation and hope that as and when he can start having his friends round and creating this slightly odd
merriment.
Sound. Well, it sounds like a rather odd band, to be honest, with accordions and drums and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, it will then get to a point where the recordings will be of a level that it's deemed to be a statutory nuisance, and therefore the council can take action against him.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Well, absolutely. I'm going to stay across this until we can try and get some kind of help for you, because I do understand it must be very, very frustrating. Lisa. Hello, Carol.
Oh, hello there.
Have you had your barbecue out yet, Carol?
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, well, you can barbecue vegetables, can't you?
Well, they fall to pieces.
Oh, yeah, I guess they probably do. Well, what about cauliflower?
I try that, yeah, but the thing of it is, I don't enjoy barbecues really, because I've got birds feeders in the garden, and it puts them off. You see, I do birds.
Sorry, I'm not quite following your logic. Your barbecue puts the birds off.
Well, I wouldn't have one anyway because of the smoke, you see. I mean, the neighbors are so close and it would disturb everybody.
Oh,
but also I have several bird feeders and that would put the birds off.
Okay. Well, that's an end to that then. So tell me about your consumer problem, please, without naming any company names.
Oh, right. Well, I live in this very straight, narrow road, Victorian cottages practically on the pavements. And we have, in the middle of the road, there's a barrier. And the council put that up about 50 years ago to keep the gravel lorries from going from upper Benjo down to the lower Benjo. They think it's a rat run, but when they come, they can't use it anymore. But it doesn't... After 50 years, it doesn't show up on any road maps, and the sat-navs have ignored it completely. So we get all these drivers who are delivering people's food and everything else, trying to get down that road and then coming up to this barrier. So they have to do a sort of three-point turn and try to turn around people's gardens, and they cause quite a bit of, fumes and with the three-point turns. And I wonder why the sat-navs do not show this barrier, because it's causing dreadful problems for these drivers. Sometimes if they're on the wrong side of the barrier, they will leave their van and walk up to the house they're supposed to be serving, which is illegal for them. Now, is there anybody in charge of sat-nav, someone whose name I can ring up?
Well, I don't think there's anyone who kind of head of sat-nav, no.
There must be somebody responsible for its accuracy.
Well, I'm just trying to think, because years ago, I dealt with a case where a gentleman came to my programme, and the issue that he was having was that he lived on a kind of, it was like a private road, but this road showed up on Google Maps as being a through road.
That sounds familiar. Yes.
But it wasn't a through road.
Yeah.
It stopped outside his house, and he was a bit like you, getting fed up of people driving up there because their sat-nav had taken them up there, only to find that they couldn't get any further, so they'd then have to turn around in his drive and then go all the way back down. He said it happens all the time.
Yep, absolutely.
And I contacted, I seem to remember, I contacted Google...
Yeah.
Made them aware of it, and they amended the map, and it no longer happened anymore.
Well, is there a Mr. Sat-Nav I can get in touch with?
Well, that's the only thing, because, I mean, I'm sure that we can get in touch with... the likes of Google and get them to amend or put something on the map to show that vehicles cannot get through your particular road. But I don't know whether that would then naturally filter into all of the other various satellite navigation systems that are available. I mean, for example, you've got sat-navs built into your car. You've got sat-navs such as Waze that people use on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all those kind of things that people plug into their cars. I mean, I don't know whether that would feed through. I don't think it would.
They have 50 years to deal with it, though.
Yes, I mean, I presume then, if you look at your particular road, I presume it doesn't show on a... If I was to go onto Google Maps, for example, and to type in your address, I presume it would not show that there was a barrier on your road preventing cars from getting through.
You're quite right there. That's the problem.
Hmm. And have you contacted, for example, which county are you in?
Hertfordshire.
Okay. Have you contacted Hertfordshire County Council?
Well, actually, I've only just started this thing because I have to be a bit selfish here, but I'm now having food delivered, and my poor driver, he was going around in circles trying to get to my house, which is the wrong side of the barrier for him. Well, that's sorted out. But then I think I was asking some of the other neighbors, and they've all had this problem with drivers having to do 3-point turns and wherever they could. And I'm just beginning to try to find out if anything can be done.
Well, yes. I mean, I don't know if anyone listening to the programme has any idea who Carol can go and speak to, who would be able to officially amend the map that is then used by, for example, sat-nav systems or anybody really having a look at a map. Who would ultimately be in charge of that? I would certainly go and have a word with Hertfordshire County Council, with the Highways Department, and to see whether they can point you in the right direction. I think that would probably be a sensible port of call.
Right, yeah.
I think probably in terms of having a word with Google to report this on their map system is probably a good thing to do as well.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, Carol, if somebody has already got a preloaded sat-nav system in their vehicle, you're not really... Well, probably. I mean, I don't...
See, it's there's so many of these drivers now with their little vans, there's just too many, not too many of them, but sometimes there are 2 or 3 around the barrier trying to work out what to do. And if they're lucky, they run into somebody like me who can direct them around. They have to take a complete circle around the town.
So what happens, they get to the end of your road near your house. They can't get any further, so they then have to do a 3-point turn and go back.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I mean, that's, yeah. And how often does this happen on a daily basis? I mean, how annoying is it?
Well, it's this morning I counted 4 delivery vans from delivering groceries, you see. And these guys have fresh food in these vans, and they don't want to be circling around the town to try to find a way in.
But are you sure they weren't delivering to someone on your road?
Oh, well, yeah, because they were... I always have stopped and have a look, and they had to leave the van at the other side of the barrier because they don't know where to go.
Well, I think the first port of call, what I'd like you to do, go and have a word with Hertfordshire County Council to the Highways Department.
Yeah.
Ask them for some advice in terms of whether they can point you in the direction of who needs to amend this information. And register, if you go to Google Maps and to raise that with them as well. I'm going to put it out there to my listeners and see if we get any suggestions as to anyone else that you can go and speak to. But I think they are the first people that you need to go and raise this with and see if it, makes any difference. And if necessary, please come back to me.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay,
I'll do that, yeah.
Marion in Hemel also points out, and this is a very good point, is there a no entry sign at the entrance to your road?
No.
Okay,
that's another thing as well.
Because that may be something that the council would be able to do, to amend the signage at the end of your road to show that there's no access through. That would surely be a good idea.
Oh, yes, indeed, yeah.
Go and speak to the council. Come back to me and let me know how you get on, please.
Okay.
Vanessa was having a lot of work done in her garden. New decking, a new patio, and some play bark for her son's play area.
The play bark was delivered in December, mid-December, and I hadn't really been out in the garden until the end of February. And when I was looking at it, this rubber play bark, it's red in colour, so it comes in different colours. Well, ours like a burgundy red colour. And I noticed white patches all over the top surface of this play bark, and I thought initially that it was, birds had gone over and made a bit of a mess.
Pooped on it, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But when I looked at it closely, it's not that, because it's just affecting each piece of, little pieces of paper, and it's just going white all around the edges, all on the top surface.
Well, Vanessa got in touch with the company that she purchased this from. They asked for some photos, which Vanessa sent. The company apologised and offered her a discount off a future purchase, but she wasn't happy with that. She feels as if this play bark should last for a reasonable amount of time. She says she's only had it down for a few months, and it's starting to look unsightly. Well, I went off to have a word with the company on Vanessa's behalf. Vanessa's back on the JVS show. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello.
Good afternoon. So, as you will recall, when I first went to speak to this company, they said, firstly, that they pride themselves on their products and their customer service levels. We have kindly explained, they say, to Vanessa that she'd placed an order on the 27th of November 2020, and our returns policy, if not satisfied, is to return the product back to us within 14 days, which was extended to 30 days due to COVID. In this instance, we're more than happy to make an exception to investigate the issue with the product and issue the customer with a refund. We do require the product to be sent back to us in its original packaging to investigate the issue further. Please note the material is a recycled rubber aggregate made from recycled car tyres. The product is coloured in batches, and having traced the batch report for this particular consignment, there appeared to be no issues noted and no further instances of complaints from other customers. Lastly, we've already issued the customer with a £50 refund on this order on the 7th of December 2020 due to a slight delivery delay, again due to COVID. If the customer is able to repackage the product onto a pallet and return this to us, we'll issue a refund upon investigation. Well, to be honest with you, it's just not feasible, is it, to package the whole thing back up and send it back to them? The playbark's down on the ground. It's in your garden. What are you supposed to do? Bag the whole lot up? You haven't got the original packaging anyway. To be honest with you, to bag it all up, put it on a pallet and send it back would probably cost a fortune. So I went back to them with an alternative suggestion. How about you take some pieces of the rubber that have discoloured, put them in an envelope and send it to the company so they can then carry out their investigation on the affected rubber and make a more appropriate decision as to what to do. Well, I put that to them, and I'll be honest with you, Vanessa, they suddenly went very quiet on me. So I've had to chase them a few times. They've now come back, and they did apologise for the delay. They say, I agree it would be good to receive a sample of the product back to assess the issue at hand. However, please note for us to issue a full refund, as Vanessa appears to be dissatisfied with the product, we would need to receive the product back, as is the norm with any consumer goods. If I can propose the following, he says. Vanessa paid a total of £469.99 for 2 bulk bags. We sell an uncoloured product for £159.99 per bag. This would total £319 for 2 bags, a total difference of £150 and 1 pence. We would be happy to refund her a total of £100, and she can then retain the product. So in effect, you keep what you've got and they'll give you £100 back.
Right, okay.
How does that offer sit with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd have to discuss it with my other half just to see what he thinks. And I actually did look at it again the other day, and I think what it is, I think one of your listeners on your Twitter feed to begin with, they suggested it was the fibres in the car tyres.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is. I think that the colour doesn't stick to the fibres, it only sticks to the rubber, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that the colour is rubbed off of the fibres of the rubber, because it kind of looks like cotton wool.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess it's reasonable for them to suggest that.
Well, it would appear there's two offers on the table. The first offer is that you get your shovel out and you shovel the whole lot up, put it into bags, put it on a pallet and send the whole lot back and get a full refund. Mm. The other alternative is you keep what you've got down in the garden, save yourself all that hassle, and they'll give you £100 back as a contribution towards the fact that you're not happy with the colour. If it were me, I think I'd go for the latter option because, to be honest, the sole purpose of this bark is obviously to protect your son if he falls over, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be the same whether this play bark is turning a bit white or whether it still stays purpley burgundy colour. Mm. So fundamentally, it's still going to keep him safe. There's a whole load of hassle in terms of bagging the whole lot up and sending it back. I just think it would probably be better, if you can live with it, to do that, but also to take the contribution off the total that you've paid because you're dissatisfied with the colour.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a shame that it hasn't kind of worked. And I think I guess I'm just disappointed about it. I just thought it would retain the same colour all over.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, maybe more research into it, I don't know. It's just not something I was expecting. But I guess what they're offering is reasonable. And I think they say that, yeah, I'll just double check it with my other half. But I'm thinking that, yeah, I would probably the reasonable.
Right. Okay. If you can please just double check with your other half and then let me know and I'll go back and confirm. Shama is on the line. Hello, Shama.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, Shama. I gather you have a consumer problem. I'm intrigued to hear this. Tell me everything without naming any company names, please.
Okay. So, Jonathan, I ordered a present for my husband, a pair of trainers from a sports company. And when they arrived, the packaging looked all fine from the outside. We've opened them up, and inside, everything had, the papers inside of the box were all shredded up, and they had like brown marks on them and droppings on them.
Sorry. What did you find? The paperwork was shredded, and what else was there?
Yeah. So the papers inside. When you get some shoes or you order stuff, they normally come with stuffing, don't they? They have like the paper inside the shoe, you have paper in the box.
To keep it in shape, yeah.
Yes, exactly. It was all shredded up. So you know how you'll find in a rat cage or something like that, it's all been chewed up.
Like hamster bedding?
Yes, exactly like that. And the shoes were marked as well. I had brown stains on them, stain on the front of them, like a wet mark, and some appeared to be like vermin feces on them, like droppings.
Oh my God, I've got a horrible feeling I know what you're going to tell me.
Yeah, so luckily though, there wasn't at that point a rat in the box, which we thought there might be. So my husband's like, what is this? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I wasn't home at the time. He sent me some photos over. We were horrified. Like the shoes had like marks on them. Clearly there had been an animal inside them. When they had been sent over. Now, I don't know if they did escape because the outer packaging was fine. The actual box itself was fine. But inside, as soon as we opened it up, they were disgusting and covered in rat or mouse or something similar, feces and droppings in the box. And, yeah, really gross.
Right, so you believe a rat or mouse had been living in your husband's new trainers...
Yep.
Before they arrived at your house in the box?
Yeah, so for me, it was clear they hadn't been checked because it mustn't have been after because they were sent out because the box, they have a plastic bag over the box when you get them delivered, so they don't just come in the box, they come in a bag. Yeah. That was untampered with, that was fine. But inside, it was what was inside the box.
Right. So is there the chance? And I'm just having a little look at the photo. I'll share. I'll share one or two of these. I've got a couple of photos here from you. I'll share these photos on my Twitter very shortly. Yeah. The trainers themselves. What's interesting is it looks like they are undamaged apart from the kind of staining on them. But what's interesting is the rat or the mouse or whatever it was that was living in that box hasn't tried to chew up the trainers, which is interesting.
Yeah. Which is bizarre because I thought, maybe they were packaged when they were like that, but the paper inside was all shredded. Surely they wouldn't have put shredded droppings and paper inside the box. So it was intriguing and quite disgusting at the same time because...
So were the rat or... I mean, do you think it was a rat or mice? How big were the droppings?
The size that they'll be, like little pellets, like that sort of size. I believe it's that because of the way the paper and stuff looked. And normally, if a mouse or something's been, they chew through stuff, don't they? So it looks like the paper had all been like you get in a hamster's cage or something. It looks like that. So I believe that's what was in the box. Because once I had sent an email and stuff over and sort of searched it, there was other people who had similar, but actually one person had the actual rat inside their box.
Well, there was actually a rat in the box?
Yeah, not in my box, but when we looked up to see this, about complaints and stuff, there was one somebody else had posted on a social media site that they had found the actual rat or whatever inside the box.
Good
Thank
grief.
God we didn't have that. We had just like the excrement and that stuff in it, but not the actual creature.
Right. I mean, it sounds horrible, and it sounds as if obviously the warehouse or wherever those trainers were stored, it sounds as if they've got a bit of a vermin infestation, and the vermin has managed to get into some of the boxes of trainers, and obviously whoever is then packaging the trainers up into the packaging bag and then sending them off, it sounds as if they haven't noticed that there are holes in the box and, obviously some kind of animal has got into them. Shama? Shama, are you there? Okay, I think Shama's gone. We'll see if we can get Shama back. It's intriguing, isn't it? I've got some photos here. We will see if we can share these photos with all of you on Twitter. I've only got kind of half the story from Shama, and she's just disappeared. I'll tell you what, I'll come back in just a second and we'll hear the rest of the story. Oh, hang on, she's back. Are you there, Shama?
Sorry,
What
I don't know what
happened?
happened there.
You
I
disappeared
think there
on
was
me.
another call coming through and it's just somehow cut my phone off.
Oh, how weird. So the question I was going to ask is, when you contacted the company to tell them about the experience that you'd had, what did they say?
Well, they said, we're sorry. They apologised for it and said, we'll offer you a next free delivery and 10% off, to which I was not happy about that. I was like, well, I've already paid for my delivery anyhow, so it's not a free delivery. So you're just going to give me a delivery for a next item and 10%. So I did ask to speak to somebody else about it. And what they had said to me was, actually, we can, I've spoken to my senior team and they agree that, what we've offered is adequate, which I was not happy about.
Right. Okay. So what are you looking for from them?
Well, first of all, I wanted someone senior to contact me or somebody else to explain the matter, not just say, we're sorry about this. Because to me, I think you're a reputable company. You're a huge company. Why it clearly, what I had ordered wasn't what I had seen. Like, it was not in the state that you'd send anything out to somebody. So it wasn't good enough. So I wanted either a full refund and my trainers, because I was not happy about that. It wasn't just a little bit of damage into it, a little bit of dirt. It was disgusting. And they kind of just said, no, we think that's fine. And you've got, I think, 60 days or 6 months, to get 10% off something else. I mean, you want 10% off. Firstly, I'm very happy to go and speak to this company because I would like to know, and I've just put a photo on my Twitter. If anybody wants to go to the official JVS on Twitter, and you can have a little look at the photos of the trainers in the state that they were in when they arrived at your house, when you say obviously some kind of vermin had been living in them. I'm more than happy to go and talk to the company and find out what on earth was going on. How could they possibly have sent trainers out that had got vermin living in them before they were put in the post? I mean, that seems bizarre. And I can go and get an explanation and hopefully an assurance that this won't happen again. I don't see why they should give you a free pair of trainers, though. I mean, as long as they're making sure that you've got a decent pair of trainers without having come in a box full of, rats. Yep.
I think that's all they really need to do. I don't understand why, as a result of this, they give you free trainers.
No, I agree with you. Or an explanation. I've got nothing. It was kind of like, and not even opportunity to speak to somebody to say, this is what's happened, we're really sorry. It was kind of, well, no, we believe that this is okay. We're sorry, and what we've offered you is okay. But I don't think that's good enough to explain how you think that's okay to send something like that out to somebody. Surely they have to check stuff before they send it out to you.
Okay. Well,
which hasn't been done.
Okay, but I've put the photos on. So if you go to if you're listening to the programme and you want to see how these trainers were, and it does look as if the packaging was all completely shredded, and you can certainly see these little brown marks. I can't see any droppings
Maybe at the bottom of the box, because my husband has sent me those pictures over. But there was ones in there, and I just told him to put the lid back on the box and put it outside in the porch, in our inner porch bit, because I didn't want it inside the house until I've contacted them. And I didn't really want to send them back. I just wanted to hear what they sort of had to say and to explain the situation, because I've ordered from this company lots of times. And unfortunately, this time it was a bit disastrous.
OK, well, look, let's go and get an explanation and hopefully an apology. It's completely and utterly unacceptable that these trainers would have arrived at your property having had rats living in them. It's absolutely ridiculous. Tara, there's a rat in my trainers. What am I going to do? As the song goes.
That is just what I was singing as well. There's a rat in my box.
Yep. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass you back to Tara. We'll get some details, Shama, and we'll go and have a word with this company and try and get it sorted, OK? Now, in April 2019, Veronica purchased 2 rise and recline electric chairs. They weren't the world's most expensive electric recliner chairs. They cost £750 for both of them. But 23 months later, not even 2 years later, there was a fairly significant problem with both of them.
My husband and I are both disabled, and the last few weeks, one of them decided it would only recline now and again, and it would go da-da-da-da-da. It was one, and now both of them, the second one doesn't work at all. The first one, the back goes back, and that's all, but the second one doesn't work at all.
And have you contacted the company you bought them from?
Yes.
What have they said?
They're only guaranteed for a year. My husband's smaller than me. I'm about 16 stone now, and it says on here 18 stone was the maximum. He's only about 12 stone something.
Well, as regular listeners to this programme will know and be very familiar with, when you purchase any product, you are protected by some legislation. It's called the Consumer Rights Act of 2015. The legislation that existed before 2015 was called the Sale of Goods Act. They're very similar pieces of legislation. What both of those pieces of legislation stated is that when you buy something, it should be fit for purpose, it should be of reasonable quality, and very importantly, it must last for a reasonable amount of time. Now, who in their right mind would spend £750 on 2 chairs that less than 2 years later would not be working at all? Not me, that's for sure. And therefore, it's not reasonable that they've broken in such a short amount of time. Now, had Veronica and her husband been abusing this furniture and they'd broken it, well, of course they wouldn't have a leg to stand on. But they haven't. They've been using the furniture in a perfectly reasonable way, and it just hasn't lasted very long. It's not of very good quality. I went to explain that to the retailer, and very much hoped that they would then start to take their responsibilities legally seriously. Let's find out what the latest is, because Veronica's back on the JVS show. Hello, Veronica.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning to you. As you know, they came back initially with this. They said, we have received one communication from this customer regarding the failure of the motors, which we understand occurred outside the 12-month warranty that we offer on this product. Given that the chair worked well for over 12 months, we do not believe it was faulty when it was delivered. We have not had any issues reported with the motors across our customer base to suggest there is an inherent defect either. We do take complaints seriously, and as a gesture of goodwill, we are prepared to investigate the issue in order to try and reach a satisfactory conclusion with this customer. Well, look, I mean, let's not spend too much time dwelling on the first part of that response, because regular listeners know that a warranty does not affect your statutory rights. You may well have seen from time to time on certain receipts from certain companies the phrase, this does not affect your statutory rights. What that means is that any warranty that comes with a product, any guarantee, any policy that a company puts in place for the benefit of their customer is over and above what is offered to you by law. So a warranty, just because the warranty is there for 12 months, that does not then mean that the rest of the Consumer Rights Act does not apply. You still have protection from that. Anyway, let's not dwell on it, because they did suggest that they were, as a goodwill gesture, going to sort things out. And indeed, they did get someone out to come and have a look at the chairs. He actually found that one of the chairs had a loose wire. So he realigned that, and that chair has been working perfectly ever since, hasn't it, Veronica?
Yes, it has.
Regarding the other chair, he did accept there was a problem with the motor, and the company said they were going to take it away and get it all sorted out. Now, they've come back to me to suggest that you should now be a much happier customer. What's gone on, Veronica?
On Tuesday of this week, we received a phone call to say that there was a new chair on its way.
Great.
And lo and behold, in the afternoon, a new chair arrived.
Wonderful.
And then after that, two gentlemen in another different van arrived to put the chair together and to take the old one away.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. It all works brilliantly.
Yeah.
We now have two chairs that work and are comfortable. And thank you very much for all your time and help.
It's an absolute pleasure. The chair that they delivered, is it exactly the same as the original one?
It is exactly the same colour, same everything.
Good. Well,
Yes.
let's just hope that this chair now will last for a reasonable amount of time. As I mentioned to you originally, in the grand scheme of things where furniture is concerned, 750 quid for two electric recliner chairs is not going to buy you the Rolls-Royce of electric chairs.
No, that's right. I agree.
So, you have to understand that there will be a limitation to the kind of extent of life you can expect from them.
Yeah.
However, it must still be reasonable. So let's just hope that these chairs now provide you with many, many, many happy years of happy reclining. There we go. Veronica, I will thank the company very much indeed and give them my horn, shall I?
Yes, thank you very much.
OK, it's a pleasure. Any other problems, you know where we are. Now, Chris was due to go on holiday to Corfu. This was in May of 2020. But for obvious reasons last year, it was cancelled. Well, Chris then rebooked for Tenerife in May of this year. But again, that was cancelled.
I sent an email to say, if you don't book an hotel holiday, we're going to cancel your holiday on the 1st of March. And we'll refund you the full amount. Thinking, no, well, that's okay. I don't plan to have another holiday this year anyway, so abroad anyway, so I'll accept that. Well, true to the word, they sent me £120, which is the deposit for the first holiday, but I haven't received anything else. And the sum I'm hoping to receive is £985.24. It quite clearly states in my account with this company that I have that amount, but they won't let me have it.
So what's happening with this money? Why has he not received a full refund? Well, I've been off to have a word with the company that he booked this holiday through. Let's find out what the latest is, because Chris is back on the JVS show. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Chris. Have you heard anything from them since we spoke?
Not regarding the money, no.
Interesting, OK. Well, let's just hear their response first. They've sent me a very long bit of background information, which we may well need to go through as well as the statement, because the company concerned is EasyJet. It's EasyJet Holidays. And they've said, we are pleased that Chris has received a full refund for his Tenerife holiday, as we're proud that during the pandemic we've been able to process refunds within an average time of just 10 days. As stated in our credit terms and conditions, when customers request to receive credit, there is no cash alternative available. The EasyJet Holidays credit that Chris requested when cancelling his Corfu trip, which was for the full value of his holiday and an additional £100, is still available to use towards a future EasyJet holiday booking of his choice. We have a wide range of great value beach, city and lake holidays available right up until October 2022. So we hope Chris can make use of his credit to jet away when the time is right. We're really proud of our industry-leading customer policies and how we've looked after our customers throughout the pandemic, so we look forward to taking them on their well-earned holidays once again as soon as we can. So, in effect, what they're saying is, when you accepted the credit note last year for the holiday, that was always only a credit. It could then not be translated into a refund. Your ability to request a refund was last year, not now, for that particular holiday. Has that ever been communicated to you before?
No, the refund request was this year. Because last year, I thought, through their internal system, I transferred that original money to the second holiday.
Well, this is why I think we need to go through the background information that they've provided, because it would appear that's not their understanding of how you booked this. So what they've said, they say, Chris had a holiday booked with EasyJet Holidays to Corfu for May 2020. With the constantly evolving coronavirus situation, in April, we contacted customers with upcoming holidays in May to put their mind at rest and to set out their options, should they be uncertain about their holiday. One of these options included an offer for the customers to choose to cancel their upcoming holiday with no fees and have the money returned as EasyJet Holidays credit to their online account. As a thank you from us, we also offered our customers who opted for this an additional £100 credit to the account. Customers were advised that if they would like to do this, they would need to read through the cancellations, which stated no cash alternative is available to the credit amount. 5 days after receiving this email, Chris contacted us confirming that he wished to cancel his holiday and receive an online credit. We applied the full value of his holiday as credit, as well as the additional £100 to be used as full payment or part payment towards a future EasyJet holiday booking of his choice. Chris then went on to book a holiday with us to Tenerife in May 2021, which he paid for in cash as opposed to using his credit. On this occasion, due to the continued impact of coronavirus on EasyJet's flight schedule, we cancelled the holiday and we contacted Chris with his options. Chris opted for a full refund of what he had paid, £120, which has been processed. Throughout the pandemic, we've been really proud to have processed refunds that go on about their 10 days. EasyJet Holidays credit is valid for 12 months from the date of issue, though travel can be beyond this. So Chris's credit from the Corfu holiday is still available for him to book a holiday for when the time is right. We currently have a wide range of great value holidays, blah, blah, blah. They go on. So in effect, what's happened, and what I don't quite understand, is that when you then rebooked your Tenerife holiday for this year, for some reason you paid more money in cash rather than them using the credit you'd already got with EasyJet.
Right. I did pay £120 to secure the holiday.
Why did you
Tenerife.
do that? Did you book it independently online?
Independently online, yes. But I also sent them an internal email, because you can't communicate any other way with them, explaining quite clearly that the monies from the first holiday was to go for the second holiday. Now, that's all I did.
Right, but you see, the point is that doesn't really change anything, because once you'd accepted that credit last year, that then became an EasyJet credit. The cash value of that no longer exists, because you accepted the credit, and EasyJet say that at the point that they made that offer to you, you could have requested the cash refund instead, but you opted for a credit, and by accepting the credit, you accepted their terms, which stated that the cash alternative then disappeared in effect, and you've just got a credit that you have to book within 12 months from that date with EasyJet.
Okay, well, it was extremely complicated at the time, if I remember, Jonathan.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, last year, a lot of people kind of panicked, to be honest with you, because And I remember exactly what it was like. You know, people had got stuff booked and they're thinking, what's going on? Suddenly we've got this horrible virus that's spreading around the world and everything's grinding to a halt and we're being shoved into lockdown and there's reports of holidaymakers being trapped in hotels around the world. And it was a real moment of dramatic panic around the world where travel is concerned. And a lot of customers at that point said to the travel companies, yeah, that's fine. If I can have it as a credit, that's fine. Without realising that, firstly, this would go on for as long as it's gone on for, and also that by accepting it as a credit rather than a refund, which you would have been entitled to as per package holiday regulations at that time, but by accepting as a credit, your ability to then claim it as a refund disappears.
Yes, that's something we didn't fully realise, I don't think, and we thought we were going to lose our money if we didn't transfer it to the other holiday, which we thought we had done.
Well, the good news is, but we need to be realistic about it, the good news is the money hasn't disappeared. The value of that money hasn't disappeared. No. It is still there as a credit. However, the clock is ticking, and you must have got something booked. You don't need to go on the holiday in that point of time, but you must have booked something within 12 months.
Right.
So surely we are very close to that 12-month period, you know, kicking into place.
Yes, surely.
So, I mean, they say that you can use the credit for any time, you know, all the way up until, for example, next year, 2022. So I just wonder whether it would be sensible for you to book something now for next year using that credit.
Yes.
Because otherwise you do stand to potentially lose all of it and lose the credit as well.
Maybe I'll give them a call this time rather than go online, because I think that's what confused them, the issue to some degree.
I think so.
And arrange it that way for next year.
Absolutely. You need to do that, and you need to make sure that they are using the credit. They're not asking you to pay any more cash up front, because then
that's a mistake I made.
Well, but it's an understandable mistake because, you know, and I do recognise it's been very difficult to get hold of a lot of travel companies. So, but a lot of people have been, as I say, using that word again, panicking a bit, thinking, oh, what do I do? I've got this money, but I don't want to lose it. But I don't really feel comfortable about going on a holiday, or it's not possible to go on a holiday. It's a real state of flux for people. So I completely get it. But I think your best bet, as you have already worked out for yourself, pick up the phone, speak to EasyJet, find out from them what's the deadline that you have to have booked something by, so you know what time frame you've got.
Well, there is a date, Jonathan, on the sheet I sent to one of your people had the 3rd of June on it, I think it was. I had to use my money up by then. So.
Okay, so you've got about a month or so, just over a month.
Yeah.
So you do need to be starting to think about it, but but maybe it would be a sensible thing to plan for, you know, summertime next year.
Yeah.
And then at least your holiday next year, you paid for it. It's all, you know, it's in the bag already. And you haven't got to worry about your holiday potentially this year being impacted by the virus again. I mean, good grief, let's hope that...
not.
Well, I know, exactly, that's the thing. I mean, nothing's certain, but for goodness sake, let's hope that by next year things are more normal.
Yes, let's hope so. Well, that's what I'd have to do then. Thank you very much for your advice, Jonathan.
Well, at least we've got to the bottom of it, and the good news is, because you've acted now, that credit does still exist. I mean, had you delayed a bit longer, had you left it another few months, then I think the chances are we would be getting a different response from EasyJet, and they would be saying, sorry, he accepted the credit. The credit, it was made clear in the terms and conditions, applied for 12 months. He didn't rebook anything in the 12 months, therefore that credit's now gone. Sorry.
Yes, they instigated the response, to be honest, because they sent me the details that the second holiday will be cancelled.
Yeah.
And so we thought, right, well, we'll see what happens. We got our first bit of money. We thought, we'll wait 12 days for the next one, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen, now you know the money's still there, but it is as a credit. I'd get straight on the phone to them and try and get something else booked if I were you.
Okay, I will do, John.
Miriam purchased a 4-door American-style fridge freezer in the middle of 2018. It was just under 900 quid. A few months down the line, Miriam noticed a problem with the doors.
Christmas time of 2018, I started to notice that the doors continuously closed at great speed. I found it very difficult to hold them open, to either wash the fridge or to load it with anything or to put anything in. I'd have to hold the doors open, literally, with my bar stools. They're both open now. That's them both closing. You wouldn't let a child go to the fridge to take something out.
Well, if you recall, Miriam contacted the retailer and the manufacturer back in 2019. She wasn't really getting anywhere. In the end, they said, oh, OK, well, we'll get an engineer out to you, but that will cost 180 quid. Miriam said, I don't want to pay. This door is not shutting properly. It's not reasonable. How ferociously, how vigorously it's closing. Well, she came to this programme, and Tara has been off to have a word with the manufacturer and the retailer. Miriam's back on the JVS show. Hello, Miriam.
Good afternoon, or good morning, Jonathan.
Hello to you. Now, I know, to cut a very long story short, the retailer did say right from the outset when we spoke to them that they would replace the fridge freezer. You didn't really want that because you love your existing fridge freezer. It looks good. It looks good in the kitchen. It's the right size. It's perfect for you. If it wasn't for the doors, you'd love it. So you agreed with the manufacturer that they were going to send someone out to try and adjust the doors. This guy came all the way from Newcastle. You say he had to stay overnight in a hotel. He then came out to adjust the doors. But in fact, his idea of adjusting the doors was to put some wood at the back of the fridge freezer to lift the whole thing up and to make it slant forward to weigh the doors down so they didn't close as quickly. It wasn't quite the solution we were all hoping for. In the end, it didn't really make much difference, and off he went. So the only alternative really was to then accept the retailer's original offer of them replacing the fridge freezer. And I know last time we spoke, you'd selected a different one, and that was supposed to be delivered this week. Now, we'll find out if it has or not in just a second. But in the meantime, both the manufacturer and the retailer have provided us with a response that they want read out on the programme. So let's go through what they've had to say. I gather the manufacturer's version of what happened at Miriam's house is particularly interesting, Tara. What have they had to say?
Yeah, it is, and this is Hisense, and they initially got in touch with us to say they were disappointed to hear of the stress that Miriam had been under, and they worked with her to address the issue that she raised with the refrigerator. And so, as a gesture of goodwill, a member of their technical team visited her to review and analyse the unit. They found that the product had been installed on an uneven floor, resulting in the unit tilting back too far, so they helped her to level the product to rectify the issue with the doors. They said that it was working to specifications, and they also signposted Miriam to the product leaflet, which gave her more information on the topic. And they said that the refrigerator had been a popular choice with customers, and since its launch on the market, they've not found any recurring problems with the doors. Well, when I spoke to Miriam about this after you'd had that chat with her, when I received the statement, now, Miriam, you did not agree at all that the floor was not level, did you? And you sent me some photographs to prove that it was level.
Well, not just photos, videos, I gather.
And a video, absolutely, of a can tilting and rolling forward when it's on the shelf.
Yeah, quite.
That's right. I'm not sure about this topic leaflet because I didn't see anything or hadn't received anything, so not sure what he's talking about there. If he felt by putting a plank of wood at the back and tilting the whole fridge freezer forward was level, I think he needs to review his sort of idea of level. I did send Tara a video of the floor being level, the unit being level, and this can in the fridge rolling forward. So I'm a little bit disappointed that that's his outcome. He didn't seem very interested in working with us when I asked him, why does the right-hand door stay slightly open, but the left-hand door continue to close? If you've tilted everything forward, surely they should work together.
Well,
I did ask him whether he thinks he should change the brackets or whatever on the left-hand door. He said no.
Well, I did put your concerns to them again and asked them for a further response. I mean, I know you've got a different machine now, but actually it was clear from the photographs you sent me that, as you say, the unit was level. So the unit that this fridge freezer is pushed into, you can see that that's level, that's totally upright, and yet the angle on the unit as it been adjusted by the engineer was definitely forward, and more so at the top. It was visibly very clear that the unit was tilting forward. Anyway, they sent me a further response to say, since the product was out of warranty, as a gesture of goodwill, we organised for a member of our team to visit you on the 16th. It was found that the product was working to spec. Analysis of the issue was consistent with installation on unlevel flooring, and it was found to be out of level at the back of the appliance. This resulted in the product tipping back beyond the recommended setting, causing the doors, which gravitationally self-close without the help of a mechanism, although you pointed out yourself that the bottom doors worked absolutely fine, causing them to close at a quicker speed. Our expert demonstrated to Miriam the change of causality that was leading to this issue, which involved temporarily setting the unit in a more upright position, which virtually eliminated the self-close feature. As the product is not faulty, we cannot conduct a repair. It is the responsibility of the customer to ensure the product has a level floor on which it is installed, but we recommend removing the temporary levelling blocks used for demonstration.
OK, look, I don't think there's very much point. It's very clear the manufacturer has a different view on why these doors were shutting too vigorously to the version of events that you have, Miriam. I guess the proof will be when the new one arrives, if it hasn't already, whether the doors close nicely and normally, because it will be going on exactly the same floor with exactly the same level. So did the new fridge freezer arrive this week, and is the problem with the doors resolved, Miriam?
The fridge freezer arrived yesterday. The retailers were absolutely fantastic. The guys brought it in very professionally, took the doors off, put it all back together. The doors close beautifully. There is a resistance on both doors, so they don't just slam. You do have to push them close. But stay open, they do, which is fantastic. But, there's a but. We have a problem with the water dispenser. The lever on the water dispenser on the outside of the fridge doesn't seem to connect with the water tank inside the fridge door. So the retailers did ring me yesterday just to see how everything went, and as I say, they have been absolutely fantastic. She has bent over backwards to help, and they are sending somebody out on Saturday to have a look. Now, fingers crossed, it's just something very minor. There could be just a loose connection inside the water tank somewhere that isn't connecting to the lever on the outside. But the fridge freezer is level. It's sitting in the position it should be. And even the retailers, the two guys who arrived, when they looked at the fridge freezer, the original one, they said, why is it leaning forward? I couldn't say anything. I said, well, I'll leave that to your decision, what you think that's there for. But yes, I'm very happy with everything, but I'm very disappointed with the manufacturers. If they look on their own website under the fridge freezer that I had description, they'll see that February this year, there is somebody that's actually put a comment on there to say that their doors are also not closing properly.
Listen, what I want to do, listen to this. It's just a bit of the horn. Can we catch up with you on Monday of next week? Fingers crossed, everything will be sorted with the water dispenser and we can give them the rest then.
Well, only the horn to the retailers, I think, should be given. I don't think the manufacturers deserve anything.
All right, listen, we'll leave it there now and let's talk to you on Monday. And Ian's on the line. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Jonathan.
Good afternoon. I gather you have a consumer problem, something to do with the towel rail. Tell me everything without naming any company names, please.
Right, OK. 14th of October 2019, I purchased a glass panel radiator stroke towel heater. It cost £385.99p, so it wasn't cheap. And we used it all through that winter. Used it through this winter, and about a month ago, turn it on, waiting for it to warm up, lovely. I've got no worries about the heat, it was fantastic. And all of a sudden, bang, it shattered for no reason whatsoever. And we looked at it, and there was a little black mark in the middle, obviously where something could have blown, and shattered it like a car windscreen. Yeah. And there was like glass dust everywhere on the floor.
Now, you've sent us over a photo, and I've got this photo here in front of me. Do you mind if I tweet this just so people listening to the programme can have a little look, and maybe we might get some suggestions as to what has caused this? Have to be honest, I've never seen a towel rail quite like yours before.
Well, it was fantastic. It when it was working, it just heated up in 10 minutes. It was brilliant.
Right.
I've got no worries there.
It's purely electric. It's purely electric. It's not connected to your kind of central heating system.
No, we're all electric. That's why we went for some other heaters, and we got this one, spending a bit more. And it's like I should imagine it's a big element that's sandwiched between two pieces of glass.
Okay, well, if anybody listening to the programme, particularly anyone who knows anything about towel rails, can have a little look. If you go to the official JVS on Twitter, just have a little look at that photo and let me know what you think has caused it to smash. I mean, let me describe it for anyone that's not near a computer. It's a rectangular piece of glass. It's got two metal bars that go through the glass. I presume that's what you hang your towels on.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining that there must be some element between the glass that heats the glass up, and it's the whole pane of glass that emits the heat.
Yeah.
Now, I can see on the top left-hand side what looks like a big screw, a big black or silvery screw. Is that something screwing it into the wall?
No, I think that's probably something to do with the regulator, the thermostat. It's thermostatically controlled.
Yeah.
And I should imagine that's a sensor of some description. There's two on there, I believe.
Right. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a bizarre thing. It looks a little bit like a screw on the top left, and then there's a big circular black thing at the bottom in the middle.
Yeah, and I think they're heating regulators.
Right. So all of a sudden you just heard a bang.
Yeah.
And the whole thing has shattered.
You could hear it sort of cracking under the heat. So we went into the bathroom and there it was. So we quickly turned it off from the mains.
Yeah. And I presume you've contacted the company to complain about it under the Consumer Rights Act.
About a month ago, because as far as I can remember, we had a 2-year warranty on it, so we're only 18 months into that.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, okay, lovely. If it's got a warranty, that might make it easier to resolve the problem, but even so, you would still be covered under the Consumer Rights Act, because this product should last for a reasonable amount of time, and obviously the fact that it hasn't even lasted for 2 years...
Well, there's a free line email that I contacted them with all the information, sent them pictures and everything, and they said this is caused by a unit being knocked at some point, not necessarily recently, followed by a period of heating and cooling, causing the glass to expand. Like a chip in a car windscreen, unfortunately, this would not be covered by the manufacturer's warranty. That's what they said.
Okay.
But in 2 winters, that must have been heated up and cooled down, I don't know, 300-400 times throughout a long winter and another winter.
Yeah.
So for it to happen now, it could have happened if it was chipped a while ago, I would have thought. But not after all this time.
And do you recall having ever done anything in terms of dropping something against it or banging something on it that might have damaged it?
It's at least 2.5 foot off the floor. It's in the corner of the bathroom. It's just a white, clean thing, and you hang a towel on it. There's no reason to it be knocked by anything at all. No, not at all.
Well, it is a bit odd. I mean, the warranty may well not cover it. But the retailer that you purchase this towel rail from, they have an obligation to you under the Consumer Rights Act that the product should be fit for purpose, of reasonable quality, and will last for a reasonable amount of time. Now, I think that there's the potential actually to make a claim under 2 of those elements of the legislation. I mean, I guess it could be argued, is this product actually fit for purpose? Because if they're suggesting that it acts rather like a glass panel, and therefore a little knock to it, once it heats up and cools down, will cause the entire thing to smash, that doesn't sound as if it's really fit for purpose. It doesn't sound as if it's designed properly. It sounds as if there's a bit of a glaring error in terms of how it
can
works.
Make out, they don't sell these type anymore, and they haven't got an equivalent one, because we asked, we would like a new radiator or the money back. They said that basically they can't give us the money back, and they can't give us another radiator because they don't do them anymore.
And have you looked on the internet to see if other people have had the same issue with this type of towel rail?
No, I tried, but there's very little information out there. I tried to find out why they discontinued them, but there's nothing really there.
Well, I've certainly never seen one before. What has the retailer had to say, or have you only been speaking to the manufacturer?
No, I spoke to the retailer, and that's the ones that have given me the saying that it's not covered by the warranty. And then I got on to the manufacturer, and they said they'll do a off-the-record report and send it to the retailer. And they said this is what they actually said: the shattered glass on the make of it after this long has to be due to a hit on the unit. The damage could have been caused by, it goes on, and it just says, I would recommend covering the hands before dismounting the towel rail. So they're telling me how to take it off the wall, but
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
the retailer and the manufacturer are more or less saying the same.
Yes. I mean, I guess there is a potential problem with this, because 6 months from the date of purchase, the law is very, very much on the side of the consumer.
Yeah.
So the law states that if something occurs and goes wrong with a product, it's automatically assumed that the product has developed a manufacturing fault, the product has been sold with a manufacturing fault, and it's down to the retailer to prove that it hasn't. Yeah. After 6 months from the date of purchase, that responsibility falls to the customer to prove that the product has got a manufacturing fault, rather than, for example, you as the customer have damaged, accidentally albeit, but have damaged your towel rail.
Yeah.
Now, there is still a lot of help for customers, even though the onus of proving the responsibility does shift after 6 months. Because if, for example, you then had your own report carried out on the towel rail that stated that the problem was caused by a faulty element in the towel rail, it was nothing to do with the way that you'd used it, and it was unfair to blame you, you at that point are entitled to go back to the retailer and to argue that not only have they got to cover your costs for repairing or replacing or reimbursing you for what you've paid in the first place, but they also have to reimburse you for the cost of that additional report.
We actually sent an email to them saying that. We said that we'd get it assessed, and you would have to pay that as well, as much as giving them money back for the radiator.
Yes.
We actually told them that, but they sort of didn't do anything. They just come back and said it's not under warranty. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, they could, if they want to, they could say, sorry, we don't think anything's wrong with that. We think that you've damaged it, and you need to prove that you haven't damaged it.
Yeah.
They could do that, but they do lay themselves open to facing an even bigger bill, because if you manage to prove it, you would be perfectly within your rights, if it were to go to the small claims court, to seek that money back. Your expenses for having to prove that the product has a manufacturing fault, you're entitled to claim those back from the retailer. So it can end up actually costing the retailer a lot more. I think what we need to try and work out, though, is the balance of probability. Are you likely to be able to prove that you didn't damage that towel rail?
Well, obviously not, because the glass is shattered and there's little pits on it, and where it's shattered. So to actually pinpoint that we've actually knocked it, virtually impossible. All there is on there is that little black area where it obviously blew.
Okay,
within the element. But
I'll tell you what. Let's go and get a call into them. I'll pass you back to Tara. Can we just get some detail, Tara, and I'll have a chat with them this afternoon and see how they want to play it. And I think once we've got a measure of how they want to deal with this, then we can have a grown-up conversation as to what the best thing to do is, Ian. Is it better to fight it, or is it better to draw a line under it, write it off to a bad experience and get a different electric towel rail fitted instead?
Yeah, the chap who I spoke to at the very beginning, he did say this has happened as little as 1% of the radiators before. So it's not an isolated case. They have had at least, how many radiators do they sell in a year? 1% of that, he quoted. So there has been other cases. So
yeah, okay. All right, well, look, I'll see what people who have a little look at the photo on Twitter, what their thoughts are. That will help as well. I'll go and have a word with them and we'll talk very soon, okay? Robert bought a smartwatch for his wife because she wanted to monitor her heart rate. When it arrived, it was much bigger than they were expecting and she didn't like it at all. So they decided to return it to the company. The company offered a credit note instead, so Robert thought, well, do you know what, I'll just swap it over for the man's version instead.
I went to the company and asked about their returns policy, and they said it was store credit only. Well, that wasn't really a problem, so I thought I'd just exchange it for a black one. The one that my wife ordered was pink. I didn't much like that. We then had a bit of a confusion over the company name, and a few emails went back and forth. And then I returned a watch. I got proof of delivery from the post office, and I've heard nothing since.
Well, unfortunately, Robert had purchased this smartwatch from a company that, to be honest, I would imagine no one listening to this programme has ever heard of before. And it is a timely reminder that the internet is full of all kinds of companies, or sometimes, I'm not saying particularly in this case, but sometimes even people pretending to be companies. You need to be very careful who you're buying from. Always buy from good, reputable, well-known firms that have a very good track record with customer service. Now, unfortunately, the company that Robert purchased his smartwatch from have not bothered to respond at all to my attempts to communicate with them. Robert's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
You'd never heard of them either. You just kind of came across them on the internet. And in fact...
To be honest, my wife did.
Ah, okay. Well, this is something that everyone just needs to bear in mind because, and in fact, if you start looking up this particular firm, they are called londonfinesse.co.uk. You can look at some of the customer reviews yourself and you can make your own decision as to whether or not you would want to purchase items from them. All I can say is they have not shown me or you the courtesy of coming back with any kind of response whatsoever. Now, there's a slight glimmer of hope. You had paid by card, and of course the time frame in order to put a charge back into your bank or credit card company, you're still within that time frame. So I sent you off to go and begin the process of putting in a chargeback. Have you done that, Robert?
Yeah, I've done that. I've got a reply from them. They've asked me for more information, which I've sent back, and that's where we're at the moment. I've not heard again from them yet. Did
they give you any time frame in terms of how long it will take?
No, they didn't, no.
I think it's normally about 6 weeks, they suggest, that it can take. So we may well need to be patient.
I think so, yeah.
But I would hope that that money should come back to you very soon. Can you please keep me in the loop?
I can, yes.
OK, lovely. Thank you. Well, fingers crossed, your bank will come back to you and they will say, yeah, we've looked at it all and we're giving you your money back. Let's hope so. And for ladies and gentlemen who may well be thinking of making purchases from londonfinesse.co.uk. Hello, Michael.
Very good morning to you, Jonathan.
Good morning to you. Right, tell me all about this problem, please, without naming any company names.
OK. My partner, Sondra, bought a very nice fisherman's type jumper online on the 22nd of November last year, and it was a Christmas gift for me.
So are you a fisherman?
No, I'm not. I'm a landscaper.
Oh, okay.
This jumper was very, very nice and very warm over the winter.
Right.
So obviously I received it at Christmas, and that was 4 months ago now. It's been worn number of times and washed once, as per the instructions. It was hand washed. On the 10th of April, my partner noticed a small hole in the right elbow of the jumper.
Right. So, sorry to ask you just to go back a bit. I just need to take a note, make sure I've got all the dates down. What was the date of purchase?
It was bought on the 22nd of November last year, and it was sent out from the company on the 24th of November.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, it was given to me as a gift on Christmas Day.
Right, so it wasn't worn until Christmas. And do you know how much it was? I know it was a gift, but were you told how much it was?
Okay, it was paid for in US dollars, but then obviously there's the currency transaction fees as well, and the currency, and it came in at £86.94, I believe.
Why was it paid in dollars?
Because it was bought on the internet.
Oh no!
But it was bought with a credit card.
Right. Okay. I mean, just advice for people. I kind of bang on about this every single day. The internet is a wonderful place because it does open up the world to you. Mm-hmm. But just bear in mind, when you are buying something from a foreign company in a foreign country, you're not covered by UK consumer law. You know, so therefore your rights that you would have if you were buying a product from a UK-based company, they may not stand, or even if they did stand, you may well launch a case against a company. So my advice is always buy from British companies. Buy from British companies that are registered in the United Kingdom, where if you need to go back to that company, you know that there is a UK-based address that, if needs be, you can write to and begin small claims court action against.
Okay, I understand.
So anyway, so this was in pounds, it was £86.94, there or thereabouts.
Correct.
Okay, when did you notice the hole?
On the 10th of April. My partner noticed it and pointed it out to me. It's only a small hole, about the size of a 10-pence piece. You've got a photograph there, I believe.
Yeah, I've got the photo. Let me just have a little look at it. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it looks as if something's chewed a little hole in it. You don't have mice or anything that might have eaten a hole in your jumper, do you?
Certainly not. On the 11th of April, I emailed the company and told them about the issue, gave them all the relevant details, the order number, etc., and they returned an email to me saying that it would cost me £20 for them to organise a collection and a reshipment back out to me. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't misused this particular jumper, and therefore I thought it was a little bit out of order that they tried to charge me for what I would deem as a manufacturer's defect.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you're right. If we were dealing with a UK-based company, it's a black and white issue. Under UK consumer law, under the Consumer Rights Act, for the first 6 months from the date of purchase. Hang on a second. Are we still under that? November, December, January, February, March, April, May. We're just within that time frame. Within the first 6 months, it's the retailer's responsibility to prove that you've damaged it. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. If this were a UK-based company, then the law would be very much on your side, and this would be straightforward. I don't know which country you've bought this from, so I have no idea what the consumer law is in that country and how you would be covered.
I can tell you which country if you want me to.
Go on.
Ireland.
So it's the Republic of Ireland?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Well, that's probably more beneficial than many other countries that you could have bought it from. But still, my advice is the same. Buy from UK companies, please, that are covered by UK law. So they've said to you that you've got to pay to send it back to them for them to have a look at?
Yes. So on the 17th, I sent them another email explaining that I shouldn't have to pay to replace a faulty jumper. and that it wasn't of satisfactory quality and not fit for purpose, and that I should be entitled to either a refund, a replacement, or a repair. But quite frankly, I really wouldn't want a repair on a jumper to be darned, as it were. So,
no. But again, I mean, you're quoting the Consumer Rights Act, which is a piece of United Kingdom legislation. That doesn't cover the Republic of Ireland.
Okay.
It's a different country. So I'll be honest with you, I don't know consumer law in the Republic of Ireland. It may well be that they've got very similar kind of law to our law, but I don't know the answer because, I cover companies that are based in the United Kingdom. So I don't know whether that legislation you're quoting to them would actually make any difference.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll continue with where I was going with this. On the 21st, I asked for an update on what they intended to do, and they sent me a reply which basically said it looks like physical damage rather than a manufacturer's fault, and they're really sorry, but they're not going to do anything about it. And then I've come to you.
Okay. I think what we need to do, and again, I just want to reiterate it again. I know it's too late in this case, but the number of complaints we are getting now on a daily basis, and I understand why. It's because everyone's been locked down for so long in this country and people are buying stuff on the internet. That's why this is happening. And people are coming across websites on the internet and are just assuming that if you buy something from a company that's on the internet, you're covered by UK consumer law. Please, please, please just be aware of this. Buy products from UK-based retailers on the internet in order to protect yourself. If you're buying from another country, I mean, God knows if you'll be able to do anything if things go wrong. That's to be honest with you, that's the crux of it. So you buy at your own risk from another country. Let's see what we can do, though. I'd obviously like to make contact with this company in Ireland and find out why it would appear they're taking this position with you. Let's see what the what you are entitled to, and let's see if we can get something sorted out. I'm going to pass you back to Tara. Can we get some detail, Tara, and get a call into them this afternoon?
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a quick look, it looks to be very similar in certain areas as to the Consumer Rights Act 2015 in the Republic of Ireland.
Okay, well, that will be very, very useful. And as I say, I think the saving grace may well be that you did buy it from Ireland. But just be aware, I don't know what the consumer law is in Turkey or China or whatever. And I've got people coming to me all the time who are saying, oh, well, I bought something from an internet company that were based in another country and now it's gone wrong and they won't sort it out. It's not the same as just putting in your normal claim through the small claims court. You may well find that it comes to absolutely nothing. Michael, hang on there. I think I've made the point. I'll pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail. Okay. Jit, thank goodness, did purchase his new electric rotary lawnmower from a UK-based company. This was in June of 2018. It cost him £75. But he didn't get it out of the box until a year later because he had another mower that was still going strong at that point. Well, he finally got round to using the mower in 2019. It worked well. And in autumn that year, he packed it away in the shed for the winter. He got it out again in 2020.
First couple of times I used it in spring, it was fine. And then I think it was the third time when I started using it, the motor started slowing down a bit. It wasn't working 100%. And they said they couldn't help me anymore because it passed the 12-month guarantee. So they couldn't help me. They said, but they did recommend some repair agents, approved repair agents, which if I did decide to take it, I would have to pay for the cost of repair.
Well, the mower isn't working at all now. Jit was told by the retailer that they didn't want to do anything, so it was necessary for me to go and have a little chat with them, and that's exactly what I did. And Jit is back on the JVS show now. Hello, Jit.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Now, it would be fair to say the company did not really want to enter into too much of a conversation. They simply said, OK, leave it with us. We would rather try and resolve this directly with our customer. And indeed, last time I spoke to you, things were looking up. They had been in touch and they were trying to resolve the matter. What's the latest, Jit?
Yes, good news, Jonathan. I received a refund in gift as a gift card on Wednesday.
Brilliant. For the full 75?
Actually, it was for £80. They sent it to me.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so you got a bit extra as well.
I think because the value of this particular lawnmower has obviously gone up in price, the current price, so I think they've decided to give me the refund of the current price of the lawnmower.
Well, that's very good of them. I mean, they didn't need to do that because a retailer, in the event of, a couple of years later there being a problem, it is perfectly within the retailer's right to discount some of the money because of the use that you've had from the product. So they could have argued that you'd already had at least a year, if not more, from this particular mower before it stopped working. I know you say you'd only used it for a year, but you know what? They could argue that it had been sold to you the year before. So they could have discounted a bit, but I'm very pleased to see that they have not. Now, what are you going to do in terms of a new mower then?
Yes, but obviously I will have to go to the same retailer again and obviously make a different selection, a better mower. I have to obviously spend a few more, probably about £30-40 more, but I think I will buy a new one.
And are you going to go for another electric one, or are you going to go for petrol, or what?
No, I think I will stick with the electric one, but obviously a different make and model.
Right, okay. Are you happy, Bunny? Do I thank them and give them the horn?
Yes, please. Yes, thank you very much indeed.
Now, Richard has some luxury bookshelves. They were made for him and fitted in August of 2018. He chose a particular company to build this bookshelf for him because they gave him what he thought was very good advice on making long-lasting, good-quality furniture. They suggested to him that the bookcase should be made from hardwood and, very importantly, given a tough diamond finish to the paintwork to make it extra durable. Well, he went for that, but he's had an issue with the paintwork that's been rumbling on, well, since the beginning, really.
There were a few accidental scratches and a couple of little gaps here and there they needed to fill, and they repainted those by hand. But when the paint dried, it was the same lovely dark blue colour, but not the same shade. They popped back 5 or maybe 6 times and repainted a bigger and bigger patch by hand. And each time they did it, they took the shelves off, and then when they put the shelves back on, they left more scratches and marks on the paint. And it was starting to look really awful by now. And then they sent a man all the way from London who was a specialist painter, and he repainted it. But when he repainted it and we had a look at the finish, it was awful. There were lots of brush marks visible and even more scratches. And he said he was embarrassed by the quality of the work, and they promised me they'd send him round again. But then I suppose COVID hit, didn't it?
Well, this has been rumbling on for quite some time, and Richard has been exceptionally patient, I think, in terms of waiting for this problem to be resolved by the company. He's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Richard. So, as you know, I went off to speak to the guy that runs the company that first built this bookshelf for you and was in charge of ensuring that it was painted. To be fair to him, he has never run away from the responsibility and has always recognised that he needed to get something sorted for you. However, it has taken ages. Ages and ages and ages. Now, of course, a lot of it is because of coronavirus and the lockdown and the restrictions that were put in place. But to be honest, I think even if it hadn't been for coronavirus, I still think this would have taken ages. I think it's just one of those problems where, and the man who runs the company, it seems to be quite a kind of slow, relaxed approach to sorting this out for you. Now, to be fair to him, he said, OK, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to organise for a professional painter who knows about using an air sprayer, which is rather like a spray gun that you would use for respraying a car. I'm going to get someone to come out and to respray the bookshelf with one of those machines, and we will try and colour match the paint so it matches the rest of the woodwork, because you've got some other woodwork in that room that's also this same blue colour. Your skirting boards, the fireplace. Is there a door that's blue as well in there?
There is a door. Yeah. It's nicer than it sounds.
Yeah. So there. Well, yes, I'm sure, but there's a lot of blue paintwork. So you wanted it all to match in with that. Now I gather things have happened since we last spoke, and we've got more positivity going on. What's happening? Come on, let's be positive on a Friday.
Yes, Jonathan. Thank you. Look, your monumental efforts are yielding results, and thank you for that to you and your team. So the latest news is that we've got the right paint. We've got the right paint, the right colour, the right shade, the right toughness, I've been told. And now we're booking in the spray man to come. Spray man's going to come. Now, we're not quite sure when yet, because the company that's booking him in, they're going on holiday for a week, or they're shutting down for a week next week. So we'll find out, no doubt, week after.
Yeah.
Now, he's a busy guy, so I'm not expecting it to be an immediate booking. But I'm optimistic, Jonathan, that we should get it done in summer. There's good and bad to that. But the good news is, or the bad news is that previously when they sent a man in to do some painting in summer, after he'd finished, the results were awful. And he said, well, that's the problem with painting indoors in summer. He said it's too hot and the paint dries too quickly. So I hope that's not going to be a problem. But the good news is, perhaps I can get him to put in some nice light tan paint into the spray at the end and give me a coating just in time to lie in the garden for summer.
You have to put your paper pants on. Yes, I mean those.
Ready, Jonathan. At the ready.
Those machines do look a bit like spray tan machines as well, don't they? It would be very interesting to see how he does it. I hope you're going to do some videos so that we can see how he's actually sprayed it. And let's just hope that paint that he does spray it with is going to be nice and hard and durable, so this doesn't happen again. Someone did point out, and I know after our last conversation I was suggesting to you, and I know it doesn't sound ideal, but I was suggesting that maybe any books or things that you are likely to take on and off that bookshelf on a regular basis, you might want to put slightly higher up, so that if the paint does get more of a beating there, at least you won't be able to see it, won't be right in your eye line, whereas anything at the bottom of the bookshelf, obviously you're going to see the front of the shelves, and any scratch marks at all will be very visible. Someone else also made a comment after our last conversation, Richard, and suggested that actually the only way you can ever really make this kind of furniture 100% durable for stuff being put on and taken off the shelves would be to get glass cutouts made that go on the shelves. So therefore, in effect, the glass sits on top of the paintwork and acts as a protective barrier.
That's quite a good idea, isn't it? I suppose any sort of glass or plastic might work, might it?
Yeah, I think the difficulty is whether or not it would look nice or absolute rubbish. I've got a very nice chest of drawers that I inherited from my grandmother, and it, to be honest with you, it didn't go in my house, so I painted it a very nice paint, and it looks lovely now. But she'd had, because she used this in her bedroom, and she used to put her makeup and her lipstick and things like that on it, she'd had a pane of glass that fits the top of this chest of drawers perfectly. She'd had that made, so that sits on top, and actually it is brilliant because it does act as a very durable top to the lovely piece of furniture, and it looks quite nice actually, but it could look horrible. So I don't know whether it would be worth trying it just to see what it looks like, or whether you just think I don't know that would look nice.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll try one. Maybe I'll see one and see what it looks like. Now that's actually a very good idea because it might protect the paint. Now a number of the scratches that I've been dealing with here though came about when the previous painters took the doors and the shelves off to spray them separately, and then they let them dry, and then they slotted them back into place or screwed them back on the hinges. And when they did that, just the effort of sliding the shelves back into the body of the bookshelf left long scratches front and back on everything. It was bad. But look, listen, let's see how this
Can they not spray it with the shelves in situ?
I don't know. Probably not, because the shelves are in theory movable. You can lift them up or move them down if you want bigger or smaller books. And I guess there'd be a patch behind them that hadn't been sprayed, or underneath them or something, I guess.
It's a bit of a shame, really, because if there is any movement of the shelves after they've sprayed them, I mean, it's always going to be possible, isn't it? With any painted surface, if you get something rubbing on the top of a painted surface, it can discolour. Or mark. I might not rush to paint any wooden furniture in future. No,
to be honest.
No, leaving it au naturel might be the answer. But there we go. Well, listen, can you please keep me in the loop? I'm pleased that the paint's all sorted now, and hopefully you'll get a date very shortly from the guy to come out and do it. And I look forward to seeing some kind of evidence of him doing the work, because I think it's probably quite a skill, quite an art to do it.
I'll take a little, if he doesn't mind, I'll take a video and a few pictures and we can have a look at it, because I'm quite interested in how it works as well.
Quite.
I'll be happy to share that. Thanks again for all your help, Jonathan, to you and the team. Appreciate it.
No worries. We will talk to you very soon. Tyrone has been having some pretty big problems with some overgrown trees at his housing association property.
In 2019, I got a delivery, a hand letter, saying that the trees had damaged the wall. So informed the local authority straight again. 2020, I got another letter saying that the wall had started falling down. Now in 2021, one of the trees has fell in my next door neighbour's garden and the other one's leaning. So at the bottom of my garden is a fence and the trees are growing between them.
Well, this damaged wall is now leaving a gaping hole at the bottom of Tyrone's garden, which backs onto a car park. He believes the trees, and indeed the wall, are owned by the council, and therefore they should be the ones to sort things out. But he said he's just not getting anywhere in terms of getting them to come and resolve the issue. So we've been off to have a word with that local authority. And there's an intriguing response that has come back. Tyrone's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Tyrone.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Hi, Tyrone. Right, so just to re-establish how things are, your property is a housing association property, yeah?
No, a local authority.
It's a local authority property. So you are a council tenant?
Yes.
Okay. And you believe that the trees are owned by the council, and you believe the wall is owned by the council?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So we've been off to have a word with the council that, well, we believed were responsible for this. They are Luton Borough Council, and they've come back with this response. We understand the concerns of the tenant and have been in discussions with him to assist him trying to resolve the issue. We are attempting to establish who owns the land and the wall in question, as neither are owned by the council. On visiting the site, the tree does not appear to be causing any urgent health and safety issue at present, but we will continue to pursue this until the matter is resolved. It sounds as if Luton Borough Council do not believe that the trees, or the land that those trees sit on, or indeed the wall, are their property. Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't heard that, but I have had the council round.
Mm-hmm.
I have. Someone came up and had a look and got it authorised for the tree to be chopped down.
Hang on a minute. Right, so it would appear we have right hand not understanding what left hand is doing. So you're telling me someone from Luton Borough Council, the council has come back to us and suggested that they don't own the land, it's not their land, it's not their responsibility. You're saying someone from the council has come round and said they're going to chop this tree that they don't own down?
Yeah, and they have done.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So they've chopped the tree down. What about the wall? Has the member of the council who's come out to your place, have they admitted to you that they own the wall or not?
Yeah, they've admitted to me yesterday that I had two people from the council turn up.
Yeah.
And they will be dealing with it.
What, the wall as well?
I said, how long will this take? And they didn't give me an answer.
I cannot believe this. I cannot believe that Luton Borough Council have provided us with a response saying they're not responsible for this and they don't own the land. I can't believe that they've now come out and they've agreed to get everything sorted. It's most bizarre. I'm going to need to go back to them, and I'm going to need to establish whether they've accepted that they do own the tree or whether they've decided to do this, because it may well be, to be fair to them, it may well be that they've just decided to do it for you to help you out, because they can't find out who is responsible for that tree and the wall either. But it would be nice if they could at least clarify that. So as far as you're concerned, things are looking up.
Well, yeah, they are looking up. It's just that when I asked them about the other tree, and they didn't give me no response to it.
What do you mean, the other tree?
The one that's fallen in my neighbour's garden.
Well, is that in the same place? Okay, because I need to make sure I know what I'm asking for. The tree that's fallen into the neighbour's garden, that's different to the tree that's, it would appear, broken the wall into a car park?
Yes.
Okay, and whereabouts is that tree? Is that at the side of the garden rather than the back of the garden?
That's at the back of the garden.
Yeah.
But it's over my side of the garden and my neighbour's garden.
When they came out, when the council came out to have a look, what did they say to you there and then?
That they will be dealing with it, but I'm still getting nowhere. They haven't given me a date or what's actually happening.
So we've got two trees as the issue. One that have caused the problem with the wall, that has collapsed, that they certainly seem to be suggesting to us they weren't responsible for, but they've now said to you they're going to get that sorted. Then there's another tree that has actually fallen down into your neighbour's garden that they haven't mentioned to me, but they're saying to you they're going to get things sorted.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, I need to go and seek some further clarification. Tyrone, can you leave it with me? Luton Borough Council, who I'm sure will be listening to the programme, they normally do, they will be fully prepared for my phone call this afternoon, and maybe they can get the ball rolling today so that by the time I speak to them this afternoon, they've got some information for me already. Let's see. Tyrone, we'll talk to you very soon. Philip bought a laptop a couple of years ago, and in the middle of the pandemic, things started to go wrong with it.
The forward-facing camera just stopped working. No fault of my own, it just packed up. So, you know, the camera you use for Zoom calls, that kind of thing, which everyone's using at the minute. Initially, I took it back into the manufacturer's store. I know that's not the right place to take it, but they've always been helpful before, and I just thought I'd go and ask the question, what was wrong with it? Could anything be done with it? And they told me nothing they could do, but to repair it, it was going to be £550 plus VAT, so £660. To repair it, because they need to take out the whole screen to get to the camera, which means replacing everything. And they advised I took it back to the high street retailer, which I did. Took it over to them. They said nothing they could do because it was out of its 2-year warranty.
Well, Philip knew his consumer rights. He knew that this laptop camera had not lasted for a reasonable amount of time, and he therefore knew that the retailer had a responsibility to sort things out. But he wasn't getting anywhere, which is why he came to speak to me. Well, I went off to have a word with the retailer on his behalf. Philip's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello. Right, the retailer is John Lewis. They came back, they said, we apologise for the difficulty that Philip has had in seeking a repair for his Apple MacBook Pro. Having reviewed the report provided by Apple in more detail, we have assessed that it is unclear as to the reason for the product fault. We have therefore agreed to cover the cost of the repair, as quoted by Apple, and we're in the process of letting Philip know. Now, of course, that was back in the lockdown, and it was our understanding, was it not, that the Apple repair shop was not open. Now that did change, and in fact we became aware that the local repair shop was open towards the latter part of the last lockdown, so you were going to get it taken in, and indeed you did take it to them, and they were going to get it repaired. What's the latest, Philip? I gather there have been some developments.
They have, yeah. I have it back. I took it into the Apple store in Cambridge. They sent it off to be fixed, and it came back to me Monday afternoon.
Brilliant.
All fixed. They've actually replaced like the whole one side of the computer, so the whole shell, everything. So they just bolted on a new screen and that half of the laptop, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's all been replaced.
And did they give you any indication as to what might have gone wrong with the previous one?
No, nothing. Just didn't work. That was it. It just a very kind of basic return form saying just what had been replaced, but nothing to say what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no explanation or anything. But yeah, it's working now, which is good.
Now, have you had to pay for that? Because I think the way it was being done, it was slightly peculiar, to be honest. When I've dealt with issues regarding John Lewis and Apple in the past, things haven't worked out quite like this before. But they were suggesting that you should have to pay for it, and John Lewis would then reimburse you. What's happened on that front?
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I had to pay in store when I took it in. No, sorry, they called me after they'd done their diagnostics, and that I had to pay on the phone. The price had dropped a bit. It was £569 in total. So they'd saved themselves £100 by messing me around since September. But yeah, so it was then sent back to me. I had to pay, and then when I received it back and I got my invoice, I had to then send it off to John Lewis, which I did on Tuesday evening, and then I had a call Wednesday morning from a lady who was very helpful. Not sure if she thought she was being recorded for your show. When she was
I'm sure not. I'm sure she's just naturally very helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. But yeah, she put me through to the finance team, and it was refunded onto my card, which will take 2 to 5 days. It wasn't on my account this morning, but actually, no reason to believe it won't be.
No, quite. Okay, great. So are we feeling then as if this issue is finally, after all these months, finally resolved?
I think it is. Yeah, thank you.
Great.
I was getting nowhere on my own, so yeah, thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I'm obviously going to thank John Lewis very much indeed for agreeing to get this resolved, and I will give them the horn and thank them, and let's just hope you don't have any other issues with your laptop going forward.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Let's hope it will last for many more years. All right, listen, Philip, if you do have any other issues, you know where I am. Good afternoon. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Okay, yes. So back in February, my son purchased some sport equipment from a sport retailer. He purchased some dumbbells and some squat stands. These are kind of things that he uses as part of his personal training business. He bought it from this sport retailer. The company accepted his order but didn't deliver the items. So he is significantly out of pocket. He has not received a refund despite requesting it several times. You can't phone them. Nobody answers the phone. Nobody responds to their emails, and we're left a little bit in limbo.
Right. Okay, so you need some help. So this company that your son has purchased the equipment from, was he purchasing the equipment as a consumer or on a business-to-business transaction?
Well, in actual fact, initially it was as a consumer. He's setting up as an independent personal trainer, but when he actually bought the items, he was buying them as a consumer for his own use.
Okay, fine. So he would be covered under the Consumer Rights Act. I presume he's purchased these items from a British retailer?
Yes,
Good.
Yes, they are.
Okay, and please tell me that he paid by credit card.
No, he didn't. No, he used a debit card. He's age 22. He didn't know. We didn't know he was making such a big purchase either. Otherwise, we would have said for him to use his credit card.
Yeah. Okay. He's got a credit card, has he?
I think he has now. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. I mean, the reason why, and just for any new listeners who might be thinking, well, why does it matter? When you pay by credit card, you are covered by the Consumer Credit Act. The Consumer Credit Act fundamentally means that the credit card company, for purchases over £100, the credit card company is jointly liable with the retailer. So, for example, if the retailer takes the money and then vanishes, or goes out of business, or for whatever reason you don't have any luck getting what you've paid for, the credit card company is also liable. So you're able to, if necessary, take the credit card company to court to get all of your money back. It's very, very good protection. And that's why for any purchase, for anything that costs over £100, always please put it on a credit card. Don't get yourself in debt. You can pay the bill off immediately. But pay for it on a credit card. You protect yourself that way. Now, there is some protection that you have when you pay on a debit card, but it is nowhere near as good. It is a scheme called the chargeback scheme, and the reason why it's nowhere near as good is there's only a short window of opportunity for you to claim the money back, which is 120 days. Now, I don't know. You say he made the purchase in February?
Yes.
I can't work out, but is that, I presume, the 120 days has passed, has it?
It might have done. We may just be on the cusp.
On the cusp. Okay, well, there may still be an option then for him to do what is known as a chargeback, which he would do through his bank. Okay? And you would do it on the basis that you've paid for goods that you've not received. How much did he pay for this equipment that he was ordering?
Just over £1,000.
Oh, my word.
Yes.
Yes, please have a word with him and make sure that, for goodness sake, from now on, any purchase of that kind of value, make sure he puts it on a credit card.
Yes, no, he knows that. He knows that now.
Because honestly, you have so much more protection. So the company have taken the £1,000 and he's received absolutely nothing and he just can't get hold of them.
Yes, he got hold of them on one occasion, and they said yes, the refund will be forthcoming within 10 working days or something.
Why were they refunding him rather than giving him the items that he bought?
Well, they said that they were out of stock of those items, but in actual fact, having looked at the website after he had ordered the goods, we could see that the goods were there, but they were £200 more.
Right. Okay. But they're telling him that they're out of stock.
Yes, that's right. But they are actually selling those items, but they're selling them at £200 more than he purchased them for.
Okay. What would he... I mean, I'm more than happy to go and have a word with this company and try and get an explanation from them. Are they... I don't want anything that will identify who they are, but are they a company that we've all heard of, or are they some obscure internet company that happened to be selling the stuff he wanted at a much better price?
You possibly would have heard of them if you were in the gym industry, or if you purchased sports equipment, you may have heard of them. But as a normal kind of run-of-the-mill person, you probably wouldn't actually have heard of them.
Right, okay. Well, but they're still in business?
Yes, they're still in business, yes.
Fine. Okay, well, let me go and have a little word, and let me try and sort something out for your son. What would he like? Does he want his money back, or does he want the equipment?
He wants his money back.
Because he's purchased the equipment elsewhere?
Yes, he has, yeah.
Fine. Okay, well, I mean, it absolutely stinks that this company has not given him his money back. Absolutely stinks. They've given him absolutely nothing, and then they're hanging on to over £1,000. Completely and utterly unacceptable. As I say, it may well... and if we are... I haven't got the time to go through a calendar and count 120 days, but it may well be worth, if you can, just check. If we're anywhere near the cusp of that window of opportunity from the date of purchase, it may well be worth putting in a call to the bank immediately to start the ball rolling for a chargeback.
He has already contacted his bank, but they've said that they won't be able to actually come back to him until August.
Why?
I'm not entirely sure.
And did he actually say he wanted to put in a chargeback?
I don't think he actually used those words, no. But I think that they were going to follow it up on his behalf, but they said that the process would be long. Yeah,
I mean, the simple basic facts are, and the reason why paying on a credit card is so much better, is that it's set in legislation. You know, the law states that the credit card company has to do X, Y, and Z. The difference with payments on a debit card and the chargeback scheme is it is an industry-accepted scheme that is not set out in law. So the banks have an agreement that they'll do it, but if they don't do it, you know, your ability as a consumer to force them to do it is not as strong as it would be when you're dealing with a credit card company. So always, for anything that costs over £100, pay on a credit card. You get yourself the most amount of protection. And if he paid for this on a credit card, he could just call them up now and say, I'll have the £1,000 back, please. And the credit card company would have to give him the money back. OK, let's see what we can do. Tara, can we just get a bit of detail? And I'll try and speak to this company this afternoon and find out why they're hanging on to his money. Stinks.
Yes, and I've just had a little count at the calendar, and even if you bought it right at the beginning of February, that's 81 days.
OK, great. We've got plenty of time. OK, don't rush then. Let's get a call into the company, see if we can get this sorted out before chargeback becomes necessary. OK.
Right, thank you, Jonathan.
Now, Mike came to me. Mike purchased a pocket digital radio. This was in June of 2019. It wasn't very expensive. It cost £31.95. But when he purchased it, he also took out an additional free 3-year warranty. He registered it within the month, which was what was required.
Anyway, on the 7th of April, it developed a fault and it wouldn't charge up. Every time I turned it on, after 2 seconds, it would say low battery and just went off again. So I wrote to them. I said, look, I've got a fault with it, an email. And they said, well, try turning it off and turning it on and turning it off again, and it will reset itself. I said, well, I can't because it doesn't stay on long enough. They sent an email back saying, well, can you prove that you did purchase? So I sent off my receipt for the purchase. Then they said, well, we don't think that you actually registered it. And I said, well, I'm sure I did. And I found it. I found the registration, so I sent that back. I said, right, now, I hope this is the end of it. Can you please either repair or replace it? So they said, well, no, I'm afraid we can't because it's a fault, and that's it. So I'm a bit stuck, really. I don't know what to do.
Yes, well, it would appear when Mike first came to my programme, this so-called extended warranty was about as much use as a handbrake on a canoe. So I went off to have a word with the company on his behalf. In fact, I went and had a word with both companies, both the retailer and the manufacturer that had provided this extended warranty. Mike's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Mike. Now, I have to be honest, when I saw the retailer you'd purchased this through, I did think to myself, oh, God. Because this retailer, in my experience, is very reluctant to deal with matters beyond their own policy and what they outline in their own policy. And in fact, unfortunately I've dealt with many customers who've ended up having to get to the stage where they're faced with either letting it go or taking the company to court. So I did think to myself, oh, this is going to be a nightmare over a £31.95 radio. Thankfully, I think your saving grace here is that the manufacturer that you purchased this pocket radio from is a company that, they seem quite sprightly as a company. They are UK-based, and I was fairly confident once I managed to find some contact details for the director of that company that they would want to try and resolve the matter, and indeed I was right in thinking that. They came back and said as follows. They said, we've recently moved messaging platforms, so we've had to check with both of our systems. With messages coming in from multiple sources, it's not always easy to stitch correspondence together, they said. It seems that when Mike contacted us to claim on his extended warranty, he wasn't able to provide an email address that matched our database. It looks like Mike then tried to email a picture of his screen showing his extended warranty, as per the email that I'd sent them, because I sent them over that same screenshot, Mike. However, the image was either stripped out from his email or rejected by our messaging software. It's important to add there was no explanation or text added to his email. There were also no emails that from Mike that we could find. We have a really good tech support team here, and we work hard to keep our user base happy. Like everything in life, we're not 100% perfect, and I'm sorry that Mike was left dissatisfied. I do believe this was a genuine miscommunication, however. They carry on. We have refunded Mike's original order, and we've also sent him a new unit that should be delivered very shortly. So, a couple of questions. Firstly, have you got your refund? And secondly, have you got your new radio?
Yes, your team are top bananas. You're top of the tree. Wonderful. Yeah, I got the radio came Tuesday evening, about 7:10 in the evening. And a refund as well. I'm over the moon. Absolutely over the moon.
Brilliant.
It's just a shame I have to go through all this just to get a result, really, Jonathan. Well, what can I say?
But I've got a mortgage to pay, so, in some ways, I'm grateful to you. It keeps me in work, Mike. Listen, I'm going to thank the company very much indeed. This horn is going out 100% to the manufacturer in this case for getting things resolved. I will thank them. I will give them the horn. Any other problems, Mike, you know where we are.